What's going on? 6 o'clock in the morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Deadline for the franchise tag came and went with 9 players receiving the tag, most notably 2 AFC South players, wide receiver Michael Pittman and edge Josh Allen. With the Jags tagging Allen, it leaves the de facto number 1 wide receiver in free agency, Calvin Ridley, to test the market. Ben Arthur of Fox Sports estimated his contract will average between $23 and $25 million a year. While we're talking about the AFC South, the Texans extend tight end Dalton Schultz to a 3-year, $36 million contract. Schultz has been waiting for 2 years to get the contract he deserved, being tagged by the Cowboys in 22, signing a 1-year prove-it deal in Houston last year. Dalton hauled in 59 passes for 635 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now a weapon for Stroud stays in Houston. And one position who has been seen additions in free agency, sees its presence grow even more, is safety, as Seattle adds 2 more to the group, releasing former All-Pro Jamal Adams and Pro Bowl safety Quandre Diggs. If you throw in tight end Will Dissly, the Seahawks saved over $300 million in cap space with the 3 moves. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning starts right now. Welcome to the middle of your week on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone. How long can the Titans wait to afford to take a wide receiver? We react to what NFL Network's Charles Davis told us on yesterday's show with a loaded lineup coming up on this rainy Wednesday morning. Rhett Bryan discusses free agent fits for the Tennessee Titans at 8 o'clock. Nashville Predators winger Filip Forsberg stops by at 9 o'clock. And ESPN's Matt Miller shares his perspective on where the Titans could go at number 7 and beyond at 9:20. 615-737-1045 is how you get your voice heard on this radio signal. That includes Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. It is Wednesday, March the 6th. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Hey, Bert.
What do you want?
What time the show start? No, I can't.
Usually 6, right?
Hold on. If you
6
just wait a
o'clock,
second, it'll be 6:02. Calm down.
5, 4,
Okay.
3, 2.
Well, technically, everybody's on a 20-second delay, so
It's been 6:02 for them for a minute.
I had to, man. It was good. I'm glad. Appreciate y'all playing along. How's everybody this morning?
Loving life.
Living life. Rainy. I didn't realize we was going to get all this rain this week, man. Jeez, throwing me off. But, of course, baseball starts, and, of course, the rain season starts in Tennessee. It's just how it goes.
So spring sports are starting a week earlier this year, aren't they?
I think spring break schedule is a little bit up also.
So there must be an extra weekend in March is why.
Is
because
that
last
why?
weekend was also a March weekend, and it was only March 2nd. So there's an extra weekend in March to fill. Because there are times where this is SEC tournament weekend this weekend also. But that's next weekend.
Must be. Yeah, got to be. Okay, for sure. Yeah. Everybody's going on spring break, too, it seems like a week earlier this year. So, weird. I would know that life because both of my kids on separate schedules, so we have no spring break. I'm going to continue to complain about that as a father just because we choose to make decisions that, hey, you got to live with. This is one of those decisions.
Best spring break trip y'all ever went on was where?
As an adult? I'm going to be real. Most of mine is as an adult.
Adult or kid?
Adult or kid? Probably like 3 families we had go to Destin. It was just super cool. Kids were super young at the time. That was one of my first times in that 38 area. I had nothing about it and realized it was drivable. We packed up the van, man, went down there and just had I'm talking about a real good time. And Ron and I sat on the porch, watched traffic go by, and just have some bourbon and stuff, man. That was probably one of my better ones right there, spring break.
It's always the trips where you're not really expecting to have the best time, and you just end up doing stuff like that where you sit on a porch and laugh at people or go get a bunch of seashells or get drunk at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Straight up, man.
It's always those trips.
And it was went to like the went to the beach during the daytime, and it was like mild weather, and was able to just like hang out and be cool. It was real chill, man. Before my kids got older, and I say older like they're 20s or something, older and
strong beginning of 20s,
and was just I could appreciate how youthful they were at the time.
Fair.
That's probably my best trip was in my 20s too. We did have you guys ever done a 24-hour trip before where you go in and you spend 24 hours at the place and then you dip out? And the whole premise is there's not any laying around, there's not any sleeping, there's not any naps. You just go. I was about to use it. You go to the wall, to the window and the wall with your activities because you're only there for 24 hours. You got to make it last. You got to make it work. We did a 24-hour day in Clearwater at this beautiful house. We ended up falling asleep on the roof, watching the sun come up. It was awesome. I think about that house. I think about Clearwater Beach. That beach is so nice. I don't know if you guys have ever been.
I have been to Clearwater.
You like float, man. The water is so salty. You just float. So much fun. That's probably my best trip ever.
Mine was probably, if I can get my voice back because I had an attack here.
Goodness.
Mine was probably Lake Havasu. Was it our junior year in college? It was incredible. Little wild. Cut open my knee on the first day.
That's right.
Got pushed off a boat. Had to go have my knee stitched up. But other than that, we were back having fun that night. So
Yeah. That sounds like assault to me. That's what that sounds like.
Just being careless.
Okay.
Other people being careless.
Man, okay, it's great for you to take up for them in those moments. But
Yeah.
that was probably one of my better ones. I ain't started doing spring break stuff like that. You know what it was for us for spring break? Stay at home. Don't go outside. If you do go outside, lock the door. If you lock the door, don't lock yourself out. Remember where your key was.
There was nothing wrong with a stay-at-home spring break.
Hey, no.
I enjoyed it.
I would appreciate that more as an adult if I could just have a week off.
They would always put our first outdoor track meet the week after spring break. So it was always advantageous to just stay home and just train. I remember one time I took a picture of my feet in the long jump pit. It was like, oh, the sand is beautiful this morning. And I was just working out.
Yeah.
Hey, grind never stops.
Grind never
back
stops.
down, never quit. No,
Never
I'm
die.
kidding. Not really. We just didn't really do spring break trips. I think we did Orange Beach one year, which was fun.
Yeah.
And then we did Amelia Island once in college, and that's like my mom's favorite place to go. It's the best part of Jacksonville. And by that I
Right.
mean it's the only good part of Jacksonville that you want to go to other than a jumbo shrimp game.
I got to go check out Amelia Island. This is the second time within like a week I've heard of Amelia Island.
Oh my gosh. Outstanding beach.
You know what's going on my algorithm? Not that you guys want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyway, is vacation spots.
Really?
I am getting all the Arizona resorts. I'm getting the Hawaii resorts. I'm getting the Cancun resorts. I'm getting the Amelia Island. And that one's been popping. I'm like, I just came back, okay? I just can't. Don't tempt me again
They
because
want
I'm
you back.
some of those places, and especially the ones in Cancun. I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know y'all had that to offer. And then Babsy told me what she was able to get 5 days out of Cancun for 2 people and flights. I was like,
I know.
That's pretty good.
I know.
I was like, you pay what?
I had the
for that
same
trip?
conversation with her.
Did you really? Okay.
It's like, oh crap. Okay, cool.
Yeah, depending on my kid's schedule this summer, I'm telling y'all right now, we're doing Cancun.
No, forget them kids. We can go right now, Mom. When you want to go, we'll take off. I'll
Bert,
take Friday off.
As a father, I'd take you. Okay,
That's
taking
fine.
you,
I'll be the
okay?
nanny, dude. I'll just take up with the kids. I told Cheyenne I'd be a stay-at-home daddy. I ain't got no problem with that.
As a dad, I've already said, I've already set guidelines of how we do it in the summer. We got to take one family trip, and I'm just like, okay. Okay, Bert, I will gladly bring your lunch.
No,
Do you know the ratchet stuff that we get ourselves
Keisha
into?
would hate me by like day one. She's like, his feet stink. He don't flush. He left the lid up. He ate all our lunch meat for the week. I hate this guy.
Lunch
Get him
meat.
out of here. But that's a great plan though for doing the summer trips because my family didn't do anything like that. Once we got older, we took no trips like that. And looking back, I wish I would have trips like that with my mom or my dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. You're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I said, I've already set it up with them to just know we're gonna do stuff, and I don't want to get away from it. So, and I'm just like Bert. We never took family vacation. I think one time we went to like Decatur, Illinois, one time. But other than that, it was go to granddaddy's house.
Yeah, that's what ours was.
It's
Another
time to work. Yeah, yeah.
Grandma, grandpa's.
And you know what I hated from spring break, too? Coming back to school, you talk about training, but in your younger age, you have to write a story about what you did on spring break. That's how I got so good at writing right there. I used to just fabricate what we did.
So there was one year I went and interned, quote unquote, with my brother when he was in the Knoxville TV market.
Yeah.
I think I was in eighth grade. It was eighth grade spring break. And I went to Pat Summit's house and ate homemade ice cream at Pat Summit's house for the Lady Vols selection show party that day. And she was so nice. Tennessee's pro day was the next day, and then the men's selection show party was the next day. So I just was like, oh yeah, I just want to be in TV
Straight up.
when I'm in in life. And then I quickly pivoted to radio as soon as I interned with TV in college.
Okay, I'm with
More my
that.
speed.
Too much competition, man. Everybody wants to be in front of a camera. Don't nobody want to be hidden in the
Takes a
darkness
lot.
talking to a microphone.
Yeah, that right there takes a lot, though, too.
No,
So
I really
commend
got into
you, Caleb,
radio.
for doing it for that long. That is a trek right there.
I actually accidentally signed up for a radio class in college. That's how this all started. And then I was like, oh, I'll just keep doing radio.
I got into radio because of they offer player shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. Then it was only an hour a day. I was like, all right, well, I can crap around on breaks and stuff like that and still do a serious show. Okay, cool.
Solid.
Who'd you do it with?
90 competition that where I told you we blow
There you
out of
go.
the water.
Yeah.
some
Way to catch
fun time.
yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, our competition, I told you we was going to get them, and we got them, okay? But a spot in Pittsburgh, they did it with a lot of players and stuff. And, like, every dude that did it did get a show is in media right now.
No kidding.
Ryan Clark did it before me. Ike Taylor did it. Max Starks did it. Willie Colon did it.
Wow.
Like, it was a bunch of, like, everybody that did this show got a show somewhere is in the media. Sure.
Why don't you get TJ Watt on there? Somebody get them out of playing, man. Get him
Right?
in the daggone TV booth. Tired of seeing
Get him
that
out of there.
dude.
You know, every fan base goes through something. I do my podcast daily in Pittsburgh, and a lot of people are like, is it time for us to have a hard reset so we don't ruin the talents of TJ and Minka? And I was just like, everybody's trying to surround the superstars with guys. Everybody's trying to do that, man.
Question of the morning on Twitter at Ramon Kayla Will. What is the best road win you've ever seen one of your teams get in person?
Love that.
As Tennessee basketball chases an SEC championship, an outright SEC championship, in fact, tonight against South Carolina on the road. What is the best road win that you have seen in person? Big Orange Mac has already chimed in, up on Adam early this morning. Not really a road game, but we'll take it. Says Bazooka Joe and the boys cooking up clipboard Osteen and righteous Clemstones in the Orange Bowl. I was there in person, Big Orange Mac says.
That's funny.
Righteous Clemstones
really
is
funny.
crazy.
Oh my gosh.
The righteous Clemson.
Tennessee won that
Jeez.
game in God's name, image, and likeness.
Big
Right.
Orange Mac does not play. Dude, it is
No.
6-12.
John
man.
writes in and says Titans ending Brady's tenure in New England. Y'all know my story that I was
thank
in
y'all for that.
I was in the city for that game, and then I was in the ER all that day. So I was not actually at the game, even though I was an hour away. 615-737-1045. You can chime in there on the best road win you have seen in person. Meanwhile, we'll give you the headlines yesterday from a busy day in the NFL. Again, coming up this morning, Rhett Bryan at 8 o'clock. Filip Forsberg of the Nashville Predators at 9. ESPN's Matt Miller at 9:20. Loaded Wednesday show gets started next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn, y'all. And I think, you know what? The groundhog was right. Spring, it looked like it's on the way. We got a bunch of 60s. We got maybe some 30s at night here and there, which means it's time to start getting that grass ready, y'all. And the company to do that is Secure Lawn. They focus on providing their customers a prime service. And you're probably wondering what that means. That means to their team, when they show up, they will be properly trained and prepared to provide a prime service, supplying their customers. That's you with the expectation that will make you a lifelong customers. They're local. They've been here for over 20 years, 7 Middle Tennessee, punctual. And another thing, you signed no contracts. So when it comes down to you being satisfied with how green your grass is, how quick it grows, how thick it is, and all those types of things that you love bragging about like me, get Secure Lawn over your house to spray some of the awesome sauce on your lawn to kill some of those pesky weeds. If you need that service, which I'm sure you do, call them at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
Wednesday morning on RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose. 615-737-1045 is our number. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. We'll take a look coming up in just a moment at players who were tagged and reported trade value for one of them, L'Jarius Sneed, who the Titans are reportedly inquiring about. We'll get to that coming up in just a moment. But first, our question of the morning. What is the best road win you have seen one of your teams get in person? Ramon Foster, I will expand this for you to what is the best road win that you had as a player?
As a player,
in person.
Game we talked about the other day, that's 2015 Cincinnati Bengals. They had us dead in the waters. They ran through the tunnels, knocked Ben out, knocked somebody else out in that game, and Burfict and Pack, and I think Fitzpatrick, which one is Kirkpatrick, ran through the tunnels and just ruined it for them. And we had probably a minute and 20 seconds left or something like that to go win the game. May have been less than that and won it. They could have made history that day and did not. That was probably one of the more pettiest, and I hope that's what we're getting at too, when what they call it, the most pettiest, satisfying win I think I've had on the road in a very long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mine would have to be, so the Apple Cup is obviously the rivalry between Washington State, huge, and they're going to continue it, by the way, which was really good news. Because it's an old one, and their 100th meeting, that was in 2007, guys. And at the time, Washington State has really been dominating Washington in that period of time. They had lost the year before. They go on the road to Seattle, and this was incredible. So Alex Brink was our quarterback. He threw for 399 yards, 5 TDs, guys. And the last 35-yarder to Brandon Gibson with 31 seconds left.
Wow.
Washington State defeated the Huskies coming from behind to win the 100th Apple Cup. So it was pretty incredible for the fan base just because it was a milestone and it was on their home field.
Love that type of stuff.
So that was
too.
sweet.
Yeah.
I think I have 3. 2018 Tennessee over Kentucky in Rupp. First win there in 12 years. Failed to test the next day. Totally would do it again. Was worth it. Actually made friends with a lot of Kentucky fans that day, which was great. Sorry, Kentucky fans. Sorry. I
actually people
mispronounced that.
Yeah, exactly.
2003 Tennessee, Alabama. James Banks on 4th and 24. 5 overtime win for Tennessee in Tuscaloosa over Alabama. Yes, that is the last time Tennessee beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Yes, I am bitter about it. And then, yeah, I think that'd probably be the 2. I don't really remember that one super well, unfortunately.
What year?
03.
03? Yeah, okay.
I think it was 03. Yeah.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, it was James Banks.
Yep.
5 overtimes.
Thanks.
That was
How old
when
were you?
I was 6.
6.
I was going to say, he had to have been very young.
Yeah. One of my first football memories, actually.
Year for
Wow.
And then, yeah, that'd probably be the 2. I don't remember that one super well. Most of mine are basketball now. Oh, I knew the one I was going to say. 2019, it was December 2018, right before New Year's, Tennessee over Memphis.
Ooh.
So
I can see that.
Oops.
Yep.
always,
100%.
it's good to beat your little brother, but they're not even little brother. They're the little cousins.
Little
that
cousin.
You just
Second cousin.
flick in the ear when you get them at family functions.
That's the worst doggone thing cousins do. That and
Admiral
smacking
Schofield
the back of your head.
did
random.
the lap around the court, popping the Tennessee in front of the Memphis
loved
fans.
that.
Deserved that type of stuff.
That's
Will.
right.
Absolutely.
Always good to beat your little cousin. Let's go to the phone. 615-737-1045. Derek in White House is first up. What's up, Derek?
What's up, Derek?
Not much. I got 2 things. First, I was here to see the Bears beat the Titans on the safety and OT. That's pretty cool, even though I am a Bears fan. I
History.
apologize. Sorry.
It's all right.
And, Ramon, if your parents took you on a vacation to Decatur, that was not a vacation. That was a punishment.
No,
Oh,
that's
no.
what I'm telling you. We were just out of town, and I was glad to be out of Henning, Tennessee at the time, okay?
Okay, I'm from Illinois, and, man, that'd be one of the last places in Illinois I'd ever want to go to. Between Quincy and Decatur, I'm debating on which one's the armpit and which one's the other area.
You're not wrong.
Thank
at
you,
all.
Derek.
The armpit and the
appreciate
other
the call.
thing.
2 things. You don't hear many Dereks these days. Like, that name was very popular when I was growing up. You don't hear many Dereks.
And that was R-R-I-C-K, I believe.
What is it?
That's just however Bert spelled it.
And
Oh, okay.
the other
Maybe
one
it
was
wasn't.
Decatur. That's where I actually learned how to skate that summer. It was a skating rink there. I learned that summer,
Oh.
was cool throughout the summer, and then like football happened, and then I forgot, never got on skates.
Did you
again.
do triple axels?
I did not. Wasn't even close to that, Kayla.
I thought you'd be very graceful doing that then, as a big man.
I was just getting out of the learner's pit.
Our friend James, VFL and SC, writes in, UT at LSU in 05 in Baton Rouge after Katrina has to be number 2 for Ramon Foster. Said mattresses were lit ablaze that night. I remember my brother and sister literally telling me, my parents were like, oh my gosh, like Wes and Claire are burning a mattress right now in Knoxville because Tennessee came back from down 21.
That's good.
Jailed Riggs in overtime.
It was insane.
That's awesome.
That was me. I pulled on that
Such
play
a
right
good
there,
game.
too. Love that.
That's sweet.
Did you pull on the play, the safety in the back of the end zone?
No, I did not pull on that one. Probably should have. But I was
When
I
a
wasn't
Tennessee
expecting to
quarterback
play.
Orlovski'd before Orlovsky did.
Oh, oof.
Terrible.
Donnie in Murfreesboro next. What's up, Donnie?
What up, Donnie?
Hey, I'm a little older than you guys, but 1995, Legion Field, first play, Manning to Kent.
Play number 1.
Yes, and then at the end, I was on the other end of the field. In the fourth quarter, Bama was going nuts, and Jay Graham took a toss around the corner and ran right towards me. And I yelled to my dad, he's gone. We started jumping up and down. I don't even remember the rest of the play. Great night, great memory with my dad.
Love that.
That's sweet.
Thank you, Donnie.
That's so cool.
1995, the play was 660 Bass. Peyton Manning over the middle to Joey Kent. The rest is history. Play number 1.
Play number 1.
Our good friend Joey Kent.
Our good friend
Yeah.
Joey Kent, man.
That is my favorite John Ward call of all time.
Of all times.
What did he do?
He's
All
got
he
to
did was
memorize
score.
it. Yeah.
Touchdown, Joey Kent on play number 1. Anyway,
That's
okay.
awesome right
Ryan in Lebanon up next. 615-737-1045. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Much.
Mine definitely has to be when Marcus Mariota played Jameis Winston for the first time in 2015.
Yeah.
First game of the year. We won that game 42-14. And, man, actually, our planes got delayed that Friday night, so we ended up driving down to Tampa and then turning around and coming back Sunday after the game and went to work Monday morning. That was a
goodness.
Wow.
From Tampa?
Yeah, it was wild.
Ooh, you had to be in your 20s then.
Thank you, Ryan.
Right?
I've done that drive.
Sleepwalking.
A
at
long
work.
drive.
On
Yeah.
a whim?
I did that drive to watch you play in the Outback Bowl, actually.
Which year?
Both.
The first year is no. Second year is when I found out I was going to be a father down there.
Oh, wow.
Remember you telling me that?
Dang.
You want to talk about
Did you
the
get a call
world?
before the game?
Oh, she told me there.
told
Keisha
you
drove
there.
down. You might have passed on the highway.
Nice.
Yeah, you might have passed on the
Crazy.
highway.
Was that in Orlando?
Tampa.
Tampa.
Tampa,
It's in
okay.
Tampa's a beautiful city, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a nice city.
It is.
Bo in Nashville next. Best road game you've seen your team win in person. What's up, Bo?
What's up, Bo?
What's going on, man? Y'all get me going in the morning, man. Y'all
Love
very
that.
knowledgeable about what you speak about, so keep being coach. I love y'all.
Appreciate you, Bo.
I actually played in it. I'm showing my age a little bit, so y'all be nice. 1998, I played at Arkansas State basketball. We had a nice strength of schedule, lost in the conference tournament. So we had our first round game was at home. We won, blew them out. So we think we're going to get another home game. Beat Memphis State. That's when they had Elliott Perry and all of that. So we was kind of upset that we had to go to Stanford. Went to Stanford. They were nice. Can't lie, they was nice. Going back and forth for a minute. And in the second half, they got up on us by 7. So we came back, fought hard. 1 second to go on the clock, tied up, 59-59. My boy took a pass. We started the clock out. That's when they didn't have no shot clock. So he got fouled. Missed one, hit the second one. We danced in the middle of the floor. I don't think because we won, because they knew they did us wrong by killing us on the road. So that was my personal game that, I played in, and I was extremely happy. Y'all continue to be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Bo.
Hey, Bo, we had to get the Wolves for you, man.
I just
Okay.
appreciate you saying Memphis State. Any story about beating Memphis, you jump straight to the line on these calls.
He did.
Memphis State, didn't he?
If you'd said Tiger High, I would have loved it even more, but I'll take Memphis State.
Gotta
Still
hit
works.
the Wolfpack for him, though, man. Him and Mickey Ryan.
I was going to
Yeah,
say, do you know our
Arkansas
good friend
State.
Mickey Ryan?
Yeah, I had one of my high school teammates go to Arkansas State out of school. We had
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 Division I guys go to college out of that class. So he went to Arkansas State.
Nice.
Yeah, real cool. That was electrical engineer or civic engineer or something like that.
Not a bad job.
Not a bad job for real.
Well, we'll keep diving into that and talk more about Tennessee's trip to Columbia, South Carolina, which will provide them an opportunity to maybe give some Vols fans the best road game they've seen in person today.
I've seen our good friend Brad Crawford tweeting you know what's crazy for the longest? I didn't realize Brad was very South Carolina Gamecock-centric.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that. I know he's bigger on the scale of what he covers, but at South Carolina's his home base. And seeing him tweet about some stuff, I almost muted him, but he's such a good follower. Okay? I'm petty like that.
Just for the week. Just for the week.
When they talking about all these coaches they hired. I think he said Shane Beamer hired like 2 head coaches on his staff or something like that. Salute, Shane. Cute. Okay.
Sean Elliott, the Georgia State coach, the
Yeah.
guy he brought in from being a head coach to being a tight ends coach.
But they also lost a guy within a month to
They
Georgia.
did.
Yes, they
Okay, yeah, that type of stuff happens in today's game. But he's tweeting about in the history of South Carolina basketball, this is by far the biggest game that's ever been played at their arena.
Wow.
And I'm not sure what Vols fans is going or what South Carolina fans is going, but that sounds like if they're on spring break, they probably delaying it by a day or
I was
two.
going to say, they're not flying out till tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Probably driving at night. Hopefully not drinking and driving.
If you're a good fan base. If.
They're going to show up. I got to feel
Yeah.
they're going to show up for
You
sure.
got it.
Yeah. And they're going to show. Boy, I hope we blast them. I ain't got no anxiety
That'd be
about
huge.
this game at all. I ain't got none about it. Just a little bit. I'm going to be real. Just a little bit, okay?
It's okay.
I want this one.
Let's play Guess the Line.
Guess the.
Because it's on the road.
Guess
What
the
you
line.
got?
Tennessee, South Carolina.
Y'all know I'm terrible with these
At
lines.
South
You go
Carolina.
first, Kayla.
I got, shoot, you guys. I think they probably are making South Carolina the favorite because it's on the road. 3.5?
I got Vols -2.
Bert, you have a guess for this?
Do I have a guess for this? Let's say 3.5.
Vols -5.5 would be the number.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, they're not carrying
Vegas
giving a damn
believing
about the home.
in Tennessee.
Yeah, there you go.
With how I think we'll talk more about it, I know, but it's I feel like it's a different team than it was the first time they
Yeah,
played
that's
them.
true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Florida smacked
Dude,
Alabama.
they made them
We'll
look
get to it.
silly.
Yep.
Oh, filthy.
Alabama's
Sorry
still
about
choosing
Alabama.
not to play defense.
Filthy, man.
That ain't going to get them far in the tourney.
No, it's not if that's how they're going to continue to move forward. But the -4.5, you say, Will?
5.5.
5.5. Vols
On the road.
There you go.
on
There
the
you go.
road at that. Good. Look at you efforting that real quick, man.
All right. Really wish I knew what I was talking about.
I'll use the phone every once in a while. Speaking of that, too, real quick, just hate to segue that.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Apple Play on the vehicles. I don't think we utilize it enough. I was able to open up like.
Apple Play?
Yeah, I don't.
use
I'm getting
mine.
new to this technology. Like fully, I don't think people fully use their technology ever. I think you buy a blender sometimes, you make margaritas
Well,
with
that's
it.
true.
And it's a cheese shredder too. You know what I'm saying? Like an air fryer. You're just cooking chicken in it. You can actually like do other stuff in it. So like my Apple CarPlay, I'm actually like utilizing, hey Siri, and it's doing stuff for me. I can't be the only one. Hey, stop Siri. I can't.
Oh,
be
did
the
it come
only
up?
one. It did come up right there.
How can I help you?
I use it every second I get in my car.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm. I also use my blender every morning to make smoothies.
Look at him. He's going against the grain.
He's just leaning in right now.
Mine's
literally
collecting
named-
dust,
You literally named the 2 things I use the most.
right?
Really?
I get a bag of frozen fruit at my favorite supermarket. No free shout-outs.
Mm-hmm.
You get a scoop of vanilla protein powder and water.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
It's a nutritious and cheap breakfast.
I believe you.
I
all
had
about it.
Greek
Anyway.
yogurt this morning, by the way, real
did?
quick.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I actually liked it.
Did you really? It's
So-
the first time?
Perhaps is L'Jarius Sneed the blender of the Kansas City kitchen?
That wasn't that good.
Because they're looking to move him.
Oh, jeez.
Albert Breer writing, this is just a guess. The Chiefs get something done with Chris Jones within a week. Jones wants to stay there. Kansas City wants him around. There has been progress. Says there is common ground to be found on that one. That likely will mean star corner L'Jarius Sneed gets traded. Before I give you the value that Albert Breer gave in his weekly column for L'Jarius Sneed, Kansas City Chiefs corner, 27 years old, had 78 tackles, 14 deflections, 2 picks, was outstanding in the postseason, shutting down everyone's number 1 wide receiver en route to another Super Bowl ring. What would you trade for L'Jarius Sneed? Because according to reports, the Titans have inquired.
Give me a 3 and a 5 and sign the deal at the end of it. About $23 million probably. Essentially what you're going to pay for a guy like him, I think. Okay. 3 and a 5 and a promise of a deal.
Not necessarily what you would be willing the Titans to give up, just in general.
Oh, okay.
What would you give up for L'Jarius Sneed?
Yeah, definitely. I would say a 3. I'd say you have to do like a 3 and a 4 for him because he has been nothing but productive. There's a lot of teams that I feel like are interested in him. High value, yeah. So give me a 3 and a 4.
Albert Beer says a second-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed, and then a deal more than $20 million per year. Per over the cap, Kansas City is only sitting on $3.4 million in cap space for the 27-year-old and Chris Jones. And easy to see why Chris Jones is the priority for them to come back. Should the Titans be interested at all in giving up their second-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed?
I think so. There's a lot that has to happen moving forward, but if they can move that draft pick, absolutely, I'd say that. That's one of those picks that you got. It's almost like the transfer portal. He's ready-made. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to coach him up and do much more for him. The defense, you know he's going to like. Nard Wilson is the guy that's going to have him ready to go and prime for that defense. And there also has to be a level of building up at some point defensively. There has to be. Rush, front end and back end work together.
This is so tough. I really like L'Jarius Sneed. Everything he did for Kansas City, I feel like he'd be a huge addition, plus bring a little bit of that veteran leadership. But guys, if you give up a second for him, you have no third. So we already know this is a top-heavy draft. After round 4, it kind of goes to the wasteland. You could still get a receiver in round 4. We obviously heard that yesterday in our conversation. There's a plethora of wide receivers per Charles Davis. Mm-hmm. But, man, that second and third rounder with nothing, that's tough to do when you're so anemic at so many positions. I just wish there were another way to get him here without giving up a this year pick, or maybe you give up 4 and next year's 2 or something. You know, I know that that's not going to happen, but it's just tough because they don't have that third rounder. It changes everything.
They can't. They can't give up a second when they don't have a third. It's just not going to happen.
Also, doesn't this feel like a move you would make if you were close? Like, if you were close to a Super Bowl, if you were close to contending, this might be something you do, but not something where a team is trying to figure out who they even have at the position group. You can't just add a guy like this and then it be bare everywhere. No one will just throw at him. They'll just throw to the opposite side of the field. And a second-round pick, to me, is insane for this. The Chiefs have no leverage whatsoever. They have no cap space. They want to extend Chris Jones. They're begging someone to come trade for L'Jarius Sneed. Yep. This makes zero sense to me that someone would trade. A contender would trade a second-round pick to another contender. Hey, we're going to take this big contract off your books. By the way, give us a high draft pick. And we'll just draft a younger guy to put in his spot. I don't understand how anybody would trade a second-round pick for this guy. Not saying he's not good. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you could wring the rag out and squeeze him out for a 5th-round pick. They have to trade this guy if they want to keep Chris Jones. They have to trade him. They've been saying the whole time, well, we're going to go let him look for his own trade. They want to get rid of him. Why would I give you a pick for something you want to get rid of? Sorry, I've been thinking about this for like a week.
It's true,
That's
though.
Very true.
The teams interested in L'Jarius Sneed per USA Today: Vikings, Colts, Titans, Patriots, Lions, Falcons, and Jags. I'm interested what expressed interest means. That just feels like if you maybe send one text to a reporter, maybe you're interested.
So as they stand in, if that's the case, if you ain't got no 2, and like I said, a 3 and a 5. So what have they offered them? What have they offered the Chiefs if that's the case?
I don't think the Titans have offered anything.
And that's the thing.
It's just interest.
It's just interest. Yeah.
And even if they're inquiring, you'd think maybe like they're going to have something that they say, okay, this is all we can give up. What do you think? You know, I mean, I doubt it's going to be, we're going to give up our second rounder. Yep, we're all in.
615-737-1045. More phone calls, more reaction to the day in the NFL coming up next. Plus, a safety who is now on the market with familiarity with your new defensive coordinator. that becomes available and maybe hasn't been the guy he was in 2017 in a while. How about the Titans and Jamal Adams? Talk about it next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. Do someone you know or are you finding it maddening to hear conversation when there's background noise? Maybe it's while you're at your favorite restaurant, you're watching your favorite team play in a crowded arena this month. Well, if so, I want to introduce you to my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. With 5 doctors of audiology, state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment, and the most recent hearing device technology, they'd like to help you get off the sidelines and back in the game of better hearing. With over 85 years of experience from their convenient location just off of I-65 in Brentwood, they tailor a hearing solution to each individual patient. And they understand there is no cookie-cutter approach to better hearing. They're going to listen to where you spend a lot of your time, get to know where you're having the most trouble hearing, and they're going to give you a solution that works for you and maybe not for somebody else. It's perfect for exactly where you spend your time. Give them a call today at 615-377-0420 or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's 615-377-0420. Let the madness be on the court and not in crowded rooms this month. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. Wrapping up hour number 1 of RKW, brewed by 8th and Rose, Tramone, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045, the number. Franchise tag deadline day yesterday in the NFL. No huge surprises. Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, Christian Wilkins, the 3 who were not tagged. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks released 3 players, including a couple who could have ties to the Titans. Jamal Adams, out there on the waiver market, free agent market. 3-time Pro Bowl selection who is set to make a non-guaranteed $16.5 million in 2024, counting $27 million nearly against the salary cap. His release wipes $16.5 million off the Seahawks books, as well as $17.5 million non-guaranteed he was scheduled to make in 2025. Teron Davenport of ESPN.com, excellent writer covering the Titans, says in 2017, Jamal Adams was an all-rookie safety with Denard Wilson as the DB coach and went second-team All-Pro in 2018. Are you in or out on Jamal Adams potentially being a Tennessee Titan?
Out.
Out on?
Absolutely out. Here's the problem with Adams. He is younger compared to Diggs, but production-wise, health-wise, the last 2 seasons with my Seattle Seahawks, and yes, I watched plenty of those games, wasn't available, guys. I mean, this last year, he was having some on and off the field issues, couldn't stay healthy. Plus, there were some weird things happening towards the end of the year when he was healthy. He wasn't playing. So he played in 9 games this season. He played in 1 game in 2022. Guys, I just don't feel like you can gamble on a piece like this. You need a safety. But I would actually go for the counterpart in Diggs, who is a little bit older at 31. However, the last 4 seasons, he's been playing in almost every game. He is a guy that has been able to be a ball hawk. He had 1 interception last year, 4 the year before, 5 and 5 the previous years. So definitely more production out of Diggs, and definitely a guy who stayed more healthy.
Very fair. Only way I want Jamal Adams is if I get him for cheap, and that may only just be a 1 or 2 year deal too. I absolutely have some interest in having a guy like that because it's a need for this team. As you said a second ago, he's younger. He has the ability to play. I don't know what his issues have been as far as Seattle goes. I don't know if it was regional to him because, heck, he wanted to get out of the Jets. He goes there, and then, of course, he was available. Then the last 2 years hasn't been available. If it's injuries that got him, okay, we can figure that one out in a sense. If the issues of teammate and Pete Carroll and stuff like that he's potentially been dealing with, different environment may change that.
Yeah.
Although sometimes that's questionable. It's a risk to take it, to take a guy like him. But if you got an opportunity to get an all-pro guy like him that's somewhat youthful on the 1 year and potentially have a D-Hop situation to where if he bodes well here, you may have a guy that might want to stick around for a little bit, I'd gamble. And that's what it is, a gamble.
I wouldn't mind it. I think Denard Wilson wants guys he's worked with before in some capacity and at that position. I mean, his best season was with Denard Wilson as the DB's coach up there in New York, and a year with Steve Jackson as well on staff. That's the part of it that intrigues, I think, a lot of people is the familiarity with the staff itself. I know, I mean, you read Jamal Adams' Twitter for too long, and you probably won't want him, but at least have interest. I think if his market gets to the point where he's willing to look at the Titans, I think you have to at least have the conversation considering Denard Wilson's familiarity.
But you look at with him, too, he's only had 2 complete seasons. That's his rookie year and his second year. But in that second year, he's had All-Pro. That third year, All-Pro again, and Pro Bowl on top of it, too. His issues seem to have come up the second season in Seattle. I'm not sure if what expectations he had or whatever the case may have been as far as how he's played or whether it's the defensive coordinator. Who knows at this point right here? But you know he got it in him. And at this point, he's got to be cheap or cheap-ish, okay? And that's what you have to do is figure out how you fit these types of guys in. He's a candidate for me. Either he goes to a team that's that close and believe they can get him, like a Kansas City if they were looking for somebody, Dallas maybe, who knows. Or you say, bro, there's a land of opportunity here in Nashville. You can reset your career here. I'm familiar with you. As you said a second ago, the DB's coach knows him. Denard knows him. Respect goes a long way.
It is crazy as the Panthers tag Brian Burns yesterday, the 25-year-old with 8 sacks for Carolina in 2023, now up to 46 career sacks. Edge rusher will earn $24 million in 2024. When he had a year and a half left in his deal, it is easy to forget that in 2022, the Rams offered a 2023 third, a 2024 first, and a 2025 first for Brian Burns.
Oof.
And that value is significantly lower now.
Got to get out when you're hot. But
Yep.
Carolina, I guess, thought they had a guy they can build around for a while and stuff like that. And now you just look and say they need all of those picks, too.
That's right.
Jeez.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up in hour number 2, Tennessee has a chance to do something it's not done in over a decade tonight. We'll tell you about it next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with the Wang Vision Institute. It's been a while for probably many of you in terms of getting your eye checked out and caring about your eye care health in general. I did it about a few months ago. Finally just was like, I'm going to give it in. I'm just going to go get my eyes checked, see what the future is, what I need. Do I need LASIK surgery? They offer it all there, and their doctors, amazing. From the front office, the receptionist to the doctors, they do such a great job making you feel comfortable, taking you through your eye health check, making sure that your eyes are good now and maybe what you'll need in the future. They also know how to care about your skin. Check out their intense pulse light treatments. If you don't know what that is, it's a photofacial treatment that really rejuvenates the skin. Maybe you've had sun damage, you're dealing with dark spots. These treatments are also awesome for evening out your skin tone, texture, as well as hyperpigmentation. You can find out more about IPL treatments along with other services at wangvisioninstitute.com. Also, if you are interested in checking out with your eye health care, you can go online for every online vision seminar. That is Tuesdays at 6:45. RSVP, schedule your free consultation and your treatment today at wangvisioninstitute.com.
What's going on? 7 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The deadline for the franchise tag came and went with 9 players receiving the tag, most notably 2 AFC South players, wide receiver Michael Pittman and edge Josh Allen. While the Jags tagged Josh Allen, it leaves the de facto number 1 wide receiver in free agency, Calvin Ridley, to test the market. Ben Arthur of Fox Sports estimates his contract will average between $23 and $25 million a year. While we're talking AFC South, we'll go to the Texans as they extended tight end Dalton Schultz yesterday to a 3-year, $36 million contract. Schultz has been waiting for 2 years to get the contract he deserved, tagged by the Cowboys in 22, signing a 1-year prove-it deal in Houston in 23. Last year, Dalton hauled in 59 passes for 635 yards and 5 touchdowns, a weapon staying in Houston with C.J. Stroud. And the one position who has seen its free agency presence grow is safety. Yesterday was no different as Seattle released 2 of its more distinguished safeties, former All-Pro Jamal Adams and former Pro Bowl safety Quandre Diggs. If you throw tight end Will Dissly in there, the Seahawks saved over $30 million in cap space. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Oh.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone as we begin hour number 2 in the middle of your week. Coming up this morning, Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio in an hour. Predators forward Filip Forsberg will join us at 9 o'clock. ESPN's Matt Miller breaking down the NFL Combine and Titans options in the NFL Draft at 9:20. And, of course, we will wrap up the show with our guy Inky Johnson and a little bit of midweek motivation. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in and talk to Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer, and myself, Will Bowling. Streaming live at 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Yeah, Bert was not in the control room, so
like,
you got an easy one on that.
Yeah, took my time
Took his
with
time
it, too.
on it, yep.
Oh, did.
That was an easy one. Our question of the morning at Ramon Kayla Will, where you can write in your submissions. What is the best road win you have ever seen one of your teams get in person? And tomorrow morning, perhaps some Tennessee basketball fans in Columbia, South Carolina will have the chance to say they saw Tennessee win an SEC title outright tonight in Cola.
That'd be cool.
I would absolutely love that. That would be a good time. And that's a toxic place, too. I've gone there when they've had theme nights and stuff like that. When we played there, if I'm not mistaken, in like 06, they get toxic. They get real live in that place in South Carolina.
Columbia.
Even for basketball?
I would expect so. Football, they went in. Like, I think they had a blackout that night, and it was wild.
Oh, those are crazy.
Yeah.
That's interesting that was one of the more intense places to play. Because you don't think of that as being a hostile environment at all, South Carolina.
And it just steamrolled on us like that, too, that night. It may have been 08. It may have been 08. It was 06 or 08 when we were there. And you want to talk about just lively. And I think, Will, to your point, is like it's surprising. I may have been caught off guard by it, too, because I never looked at South Carolina respectfully like that, too. That's the other side of it. You know, some schools you go there and you're like, oh, I didn't realize y'all had a fan base that's strong. It was more of that to me, too, which is why I also have that. I side-eye them again because I don't have much interaction with South Carolina fans. Like, I just don't a lot. You don't have much interaction with them. So to see them go bananas and ape crap like that, yeah, that's a wild environment. And then hearing that cockadoodle, it's like, what?
Yeah, that's a whole nut. That thing is loud.
Appreciate the example
is Bert
there.
back there to get a clip of that one?
He was not.
I'm going off today with Bert. I'll be back there. I think he's going to reset our Wi-Fi. I think that's what's happening.
No, he just go to the bathroom.
Okay.
We'll not get into details on that.
I was caught off guard by how passionate South Carolina fans are. That was just me. Like, it took me a very long time to realize that, like, they call themselves USC.
Yeah, well, I don't think that works.
I know.
Everyone else calls them USC Junior.
Is that like, okay. Yeah, so it never registered to me that they were USC like that, and they went by that.
I just got me confused when I first moved down here.
South Carolina.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
USC?
It blew my mind, too. Never knew that was a thing.
I've never heard anyone actually call them USC, though.
I have.
I have.
Really?
I have. They're identified
I
as
had not
USC.
one time
Absolutely.
I've heard that.
That's why I was confused.
Weird. Jordan Moore on Twitter yesterday, Knoxville radio host, says Tennessee's 6 losses have a combined 156 KenPom ranking. Arizona's worst loss is Oregon State, who is ranked 156th by themselves.
I know.
Yep.
In KenPom. Tennessee's got a chance to become a 1 seed tonight if they win.
They do. I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to play this one, man. And the fact that, Arizona's going to get that pass like that blows my mind.
We swept them, Washington
I
State.
saw
And
that.
we're a good team,
That's
but
one of their quad 2 losses.
Yeah.
Washington State.
they're supposed to, Arizona's supposed to be like a dominant 1.
And I think they're a good team. They probably get the benefit of the doubt just a
they
little bit
do.
with what's going on. But if you look at their schedule, then of course the 2 teams they had left to play, I think they got SC and UCLA. I think left. I'm like,
easy.
What are we talking about here? It sucks that all of that isn't added into the equation when you talk about seeding and stuff.
Right.
And I hate that it seems like they're making it regional as far as picking them to be a 1 seed in that division. But it is what it is.
Well, and Ron said yesterday, Slay, would you really want to be the 1 seed and be located on the West Coast? So he knows, and you guys know, Vols fans will travel, but that's still a far away from your home base, right?
Yeah,
so
100%.
maybe even if you're a 2 seed, you could be a lot closer, and it wouldn't be the worst thing.
Exactly.
Tennessee has not won an outright SEC championship since 2008 in men's hoops. 2008, a good year. Ramon Foster.
A real good year, man.
South Carolina would win the title by beating Tennessee tonight and winning at Mississippi State, which is no small task, on Saturday, and the Vols losing to Kentucky at home on Saturday. So Tennessee could still win the outright title with a loss tonight if Tennessee beats Kentucky and South Carolina loses at Mississippi State. So it's all tonight for Tennessee. It would make Saturday's game against Kentucky completely meaningless, except for tournament seeding at that point.
It's senior day.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I mean, in terms of
of
SEC
basketball.
championship, it would be meaningless, is all I'm saying.
Right.
Any game between Tennessee and Kentucky in basketball is never meaningless.
Why are you putting a T in her name?
Sorry,
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
To me, if Tennessee goes with a 3-loss SEC schedule, winning the best conference in college basketball this year, they absolutely have to be a 1 seed. Regardless of what happens in the SEC tournament, if they win these next 2 games, I don't think there is any way you can prevent Tennessee from being a 1 seed. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
You won the best conference with only 3 losses. Shouldn't matter.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that, too. That's also where Vols fans on social media will have that PTSD of being a Vols fans. Like, this type of stuff, like, good don't happen. That's where the crowds get a little bit louder. But you look at the overall season, you look at the way they've won, where they won, and how they won, too, this year. This team has everything you need as far as it being considered to be a strong candidate for number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is somewhat problematic. You got a coach that's had a legendary season this year as far as his 800 win. You got older guys that are actually answering the call, and they're winning in different ways. And you got a potential player of the year nationally, Naismith college basketball player of the year on your team. You check every single box when it comes down to it. They've won it with their bigs. They've won it with their guards. They've won it playing defense. Now, the South Carolina loss, I think, may be, the Mississippi State one, too. Those 2 right there are 2 black eyes.
Sure.
But you mentioned a second ago, Washington, which you guys are ranked.
Right.
But Washington State knocking off 2 times Arizona at this point.
There and at their place. Or home and at their place.
Walked in their trap and took over their trap. I mean, seriously.
But you're right, though. I mean, you look at Tennessee's resume at the start of the season to the end of the season. It's ridiculous. And for them to be playing this type of basketball at the end of the season when they've had 4 quad 1 matchups, and right now they've checked 2 of them off. And if they can do that tonight at South Carolina, to me, like, sold. Like, that is showing that even in overcoming some stuff in the middle of the season, like all college basketball teams do. We've talked about the road environments this year. They've been nuts. I think this team deserves that number 1 seed. if I really look at all the teams and the consistency and where they're at right now at the end of the season, I feel like the Vols are one of those deserving teams.
Two-Tone Fett on Twitter writes in and says, it's like how Tennessee is the other UT, #hook'em. Hey, buddy, if it wasn't for Tennessee, there would be no Texas. So.
Tell them. Huh.
Let's remember a little bit of history real quick.
Tell them. Hey, man, don't come into this SEC acting like y'all been here, okay?
Gotta
like,
earn it.
Y'all are still in the probationary period, okay? Like,
you're welcome for saving your state, by the way.
Thank you. You're welcome. Now they want to consider themselves a country and all this type of stuff. Dude probably never even been to Austin. This is what I do. Okay? I love this trash talking stuff. But I heard I never really ran into Texas fans like that or Oklahoma, but I heard they've been real toxic out here.
Oklahoma fans were cool when they came to Knoxville.
They were?
Yeah,
They're pretty nice.
They are?
They are.
They were cool.
Okay.
They are. And they don't, like UT, sorry, not UT, Texas.
There you go.
Yes.
You made
sorry.
a better choice.
I was reading the F&M Bank chat, and it got in my mind because Dylan was like, Texas is fake UT. Yeah. So true. UT Vols have been in the SEC. They have proven that they can compete in the SEC. Texas is on its way back, but they still have not won a lot in their respective big sports as of late. You got to prove it to me, Burnt Orange.
You see what I'm saying? Put that battery in my back. I was about to go off, okay? I was about to go off and have Bert play Rocky Top, but I digress. I digress. Okay?
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up, we'll reset what Charles Davis told us yesterday about how one aspect of football has forever changed the way we view one position. Do the Titans have to find their number one receiver of the future in the 2024 draft? We'll talk about it next. Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company. Look, do you have a ceiling light fixture that flickers? Do you need an extra outlet or two? Or do you have wall switches that maybe don't seem to work properly? Well, these all seem to be simple issues. However, they are rarely do-it-yourself projects. Dealing with electricity, that requires the expertise of an experienced professional. And look, we all have our to-do lists for things that we've let go way too long without fixing around the house. You need to call the pros over at Lee Company to make that happen in the right way for you. Their electrical team, they can solve any problem you have safely and efficiently. And right now, you can enjoy $20 off an electrical service call for a limited time. Just contact them today, 615-567-1000. That's how you call Lee Company or visit them online. Their website is great at leecompany.com. That's 615-567-1000, online at leecompany.com. Save $20 off an electrical service call now for a limited time. That's Lee Company, all you need.
It's Ramon Foster for Genesis Diamonds, and here are some facts about engagement rings you need to know. There are 10 premier bridal designers every woman knows about. They're like the Mercedes, the Louis Vuitton of engagement rings. World-class, iconic quality names. Names like Tacora and Viraggio. These designers are hard to get. Every jewelry store wants them, but very few make the cut, so they have to settle for lesser brands or knockoffs. Around here, there's only one jewelry store that offers these premium rings. It's Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is the only one that made the cut, that that meets the highest standards. Genesis is the only store that's allowed to offer these exceptional brands that women really want. Other stores are jealous of this and will try and convince you these are more expensive and try to get you to settle for something else. But the truth is, Genesis has top quality designer rings for under $2,000. It's not about the price. It's about the craftsmanship and quality and detail and individuality. So don't compromise. Don't settle. Get her a world-class ring she will be proud to wear. Genesis Diamonds are located in Green Hills and Cool Springs and also the home to the state's largest selection of pre-owned Rolex watches.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, where you can watch the show. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Robert Walsh spinning the hits behind the glass. 615-737-1045 is our number. Do the Titans have to get their number one wide receiver of the future in the 2024 NFL Draft? That is a question we pose to the people. We also have been asking what the best road game is you've ever experienced as a fan in person this morning. We've got Brandon in Shelbyville up next on that. What's up? Braden. My bad. What's up, Braden?
It's all good. You won't be the last person to call me.
I know.
So it hadn't been too long ago. I think it was 2018 or 2019, but it's when Tennessee went to Vanderbilt and Grant Williams absolutely dominated. Had like 40-something and perfect from the free throw line. Me and my father went, and towards the end of the game, I'd been drinking a little bit. I started screaming at Vanderbilt fans that Grant Williams is your daddy.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, so one of the mothers kind of got upset and looked back at me and was like, "You need to chill out. My kids are here." And I said, "Well, your kids need to know who their daddy is."
Oh, boy.
And my dad was like, "Yeah, I think it's time to go." And he was probably right. But that's all I got this morning. Y'all have a good one, fellas.
Oh, damn.
Doing the Lord's work, Braden. That's hilarious.
Braden, what is wrong with you? Your dad was right.
43 points.
That's so funny.
Grant Williams on that night, 88-83 win over Vandy for first-ranked Tennessee that night, was 23 of 23 from the free throw line. 43 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks.
Man, what a night.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
What a night.
Trash talking on its finest.
That's what I'm saying to the kids.
My only issue with Braden is I said away games.
Don't matter. Oh, you stupid.
Oh, I see where you're going with that.
When Tennessee plays in Nashville, it's a home game. I don't know what you mean.
Don't get me. I was about to defend them. I was about to.
Lean in.
No, I'm not leaning in anymore. Me and Ron have made a commitment to each other to not lean in and defend them.
Chris in Hermitage up next. 615-737-1045. What's up, Chris?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I have to say, whenever you said lean in, all I saw was a Sith Lord with the hood up saying, "Do it, Ramon."
See, you the problem, okay? Don't come on here now. I'm almost like, okay, all right, let me get on my Vandy soapbox real quick.
Okay. Whenever I played football at UT Martin. It's a small satellite school in Tennessee, West Tennessee, and we actually went to Memphis in my junior year there. No, my senior year actually. We went to Memphis, and we recorded the first Division I single A win over big university.
Over Tiger High?
My senior year. Yep, over Tiger High / Memphis State / all the fun stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
I played the best game of my career that night, and it was an awesome time beating Memphis in front of everybody in front of the Liberty Bowl.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so that was fun. That was my favorite time.
What year was
I love
that?
it.
Oh, that was my senior year was 2012. That was Justin Fuente's debut actually at Memphis. Yeah,
so you played with my
lost.
brother-in-law then? Okay.
Yeah, it was a really fun game.
Absolutely.
Nice. Thank you, Chris.
That's awesome.
Chris.
Appreciate the call.
He even got to experience that.
Yeah. Beat Memphis
As a
State.
player,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
I said earlier, if you talk about beating Memphis, you jump to the front of the queue.
Yeah.
I'll let you on
You're
immediately. You can host the show if you want. I'll go grab a cup of coffee.
Look at that.
Bam in Nashville next. 615-737-1045. What's up, Bam?
Yo, what up, man? Everybody good?
How we doing?
What up, Bam?
Yo, man, I wanted to touch on the game that y'all was talking about, one that you witnessed on the road that you saw, your team win. The Miami game. The Miami game is the biggest game. A lot of people had left the game. And I was actually, I ain't gonna lie, I called the Uber. I did call the Uber. But he was like 7 minutes away.
Oh, my gosh.
I canceled it, you know what I'm saying, when Will Levis started getting down the field. And then, he sent me a notification, was like, "I'm here." So I just canceled it and just paid the extra, $22.
Oh!
Prime time. You know what I'm saying? I canceled it, paid $22. And I was like, if they pull this off, it'll be worth it. And they pulled it off. So, you know what I'm saying? It was one of those things where, I just doubled back on it, But that was history to be witnessed right there. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
that was one of the games. That was the only road game that I've been to watch us come back and it was real quiet on South Beach that night. I was running up and down South Beach.
I bet.
Oh boy, oh my goodness, me and Tequila was best friends that night. Yeah, man. I hope everybody well. Let's get this season. Let's get this draft right. Let's hopefully sign Henry back. All right, cool. We're going back.
There it is.
He had to get that Henry in there.
Thank you, Ben.
He did.
Appreciate the call.
I'm shocked that one didn't come up more.
I know.
We've got a couple
so
tweets
recent.
about it.
Okay.
Of Titans Dolphins this past year.
But
yeah.
that is pretty cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I remember watching like, what? Oh, it's happening.
I know.
It's happening.
So the question for the people, guys, talking Titans and resetting what Charles Davis told us. We'll hear a little bit of what he had to say yesterday if you missed it, coming up in just a moment. Where are the Titans more likely to find their number one wide receiver of the future? This year's draft, this year's free agency, or next offseason? Where do you think?
Next offseason. It's just too much. It really is. You got to get to a point, and it seems like to me they're getting to a point where they're trying to immediately surround Levis. And that right there to me is where it's going to be fascinating to see how quickly they do it. Because you're on the timeline. You're on the clock. You are on the clock with Will Levis still. And I think most people need to be realistic about that also. Who's to say what he's going to turn into? It's not the coach that picked him, right? It's not the head coach that picked him when it boils down to. So as much as you can build with around him, you absolutely have to do that. And there might be protection. I heard 3HL discussing and arguing about it yesterday, which is a good, healthy argument. Do you go protection? Do you go wide receiver? And which one matters more to you? And a portion of me want to say the protection does, absolutely. But I've also seen a team do well offensively in college as far as evolves immediately. Like, it was, never forget, Will Lee was just like, man, you can't be boring and bad. Score. Mm-hmm. And that gave so much fire and light to a college team. We're talking about the NFL, though. To a college team when you look at how they pretty much walked to the front of the line again, or at least was in the conversation. So offensively is where you win fans over. So where do you start to build at? It's going to be very fascinating. It's just time is what sucks about it, because losing week to week sucks. But it's also, if you understand what the bigger plan is, then you execute it and say, now look at us. The same thing that Cincy's dealing with right now.
I would say, look, and talking to Charles Davis yesterday, and I know we'll hear from him in just a second, it kind of reassured me that, my goodness, like, it's not just us thinking that this wide receiver group is deep this year. It's guys like him who were at the combine, watching all of these guys perform. That's like, you could probably even get a guy in the 4th round that could be potentially a dude for you. But the fact that they have a 2nd round pick and that there's going to be some really productive wide receivers in that round. And I go back to something I said, I think it was last week, the number of wide receivers that are chosen in the 2nd round that become number ones, that become productive, offensive threats, there is a damn list of those guys. It's just about making sure you're picking the right one, which, again, I have faith in this staff, in Brian Callahan, who has really been a part of the scouting when he was even with the Bengals. He scouted a lot. He said that recently. So I feel like he knows exactly what he needs for this offense. And I feel like there's going to be a wide receiver available in that 2nd round where they could take him, and he could possibly be a number one here in the future.
Charles Davis of CBS Sports and NFL Network spoke to us yesterday talking about how 7-on-7 has changed the wide receiver position and the way it is viewed in the league for teams like the Titans.
You look at what's out there, there's going to be a pretty good run on them right away. Okay, we know that. Harrison out of Ohio State, Adunze out of Washington. You're going to have Neighbors, Brian Thomas out of LSU. It just goes and goes and goes. But then you start saying to yourself, okay, who else is out there? Is A.D. Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell, going to be available in the 2nd round for you, or is he going to go in the 1st? What about Troy Franklin, who frankly did not have a great gauntlet drill? But you can't overlook the production at Oregon. The only thing that gives you a little bit of pause and concern is he's really linear, which means skinny, right? We're using all these buzzwords, right? So he's, he weighed in at like 176, 177 pounds. Where do you go with that? Xavier Worthy, who blew the doors off at 4.21, he's 165 pounds. He's in my colleague Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. He was 41 going into the combine. If you watch the 4.21, everyone's got him rising automatically to the first round. Will he? He may very well be there for you in the second. Is that the guy that you want? We could just go on and on and on, receiver after receiver. Kayla, it is a crazy number of them, and I've said it for the last 3, 4, 5 years, and I'm going to say it probably until they lower the lid on my coffin. Every year we go through the combine. Oh, yeah, there are plenty of receivers because of the way we're playing football now. 7-on-7 exists. 7-on-7 is football's answer to basketball's AAU. When I was a kid, most of the time when the ball was in the air, it was off of an option pitch. Now it's in the air, just pitching it around. We used to go get running backs out of Texas. Now we go get quarterbacks. The game has changed significantly, and because of that, receivers become a real glamour position.
Outside of the top 3 of Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze, who is most likely to become a wide receiver 1 in this draft?
Who's most likely to become a wide receiver 1 in this draft?
Outside of the top 3, who is most likely to be a wide receiver 1?
Thomas out of LSU?
Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas.
Okay.
See him being a guy in that conversation. And here's the issue that you run into is that second and third round value for guys will also play into it as far as how often they're going to play and how the offense is structured to get a young wide receiver in. Like, they don't have room for number 1, so you try to go get a second rounder that turns into a stud. Who's to say these top 3 guys you just mentioned going to be due? Keon Coleman, I think, has that ability to be that type of guy at times. Besides him, as it stands with what we know about the prospects, because it's hard to project guys outside of the first round as far as being number 1s. I don't know if anybody had DK Metcalf or AJ as number 1s. AJ went in the second. He worked his way into it because of necessity. He had to play here, had to start here. I know AJ had the tools and the body and the size and all those types of things. But to say that he's a number 1 coming out of college, I don't know. And then when you mention a guy like Xavier Legette, I like Legette. Is he a strong number 1A? I don't know. And that's the thing about him, is you have to somewhat see these guys be a necessity for their team before they turn into a number 1 guy if you're not one of these top 3 dudes. Because, again, you bring up a guy like Ladd McConkey, Devontae Walker, Ricky Pearsall. What are they to you on paper? They might be 2s, maybe even 3s, depending on the team that they go to. I think whoever gets drafted here at wide receiver, if they draft one, will automatically run into, within a year, being a solid number 2 if we believe that Brian Callahan can make this team well. I don't know if Traylon's going to turn into a 1. I know a lot of people are out on him. I think Ron changed his name yesterday to Slaylon Burks. That's who he is.
What?
Slaylon.
Did I hear that?
Burks. Yeah, he's Slaylon now because he's on a soapbox for him. But I can't say Brendan Rice is going to be 1 because as far as ranking, he's a 2. He's a third-round guy. Guys turn into 1s because of necessity when they're second-round picks, third-round picks, or they just have that hidden attribute of being good. Like, is Puka Nacua number 1 in L.A., or is it still
Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp.
Right. Well, I mean, Cooper hadn't been healthy all the way.
But
Puka Nacua took advantage of that opportunity, too.
But the answer would still be Cooper Kupp's, right, as far as 1. I know what I'm saying. Now, again, that's a necessity thing.
Right.
It ain't like Cooper Kupp ain't good or Puka Nacua ain't good. It's just of necessity. You still say it's Cooper Kupp then Puka.
Right.
Until he moves out
Cooper
of the way.
But Cooper wasn't a number 1 round pick, too. He was a second rounder.
Necessity turned him into it.
I mean, I think it depends on where you go. I really do. I think it depends on the wide receiver you pick. I like Adonai Mitchell. I think about the wide receiver you pick, what the fit is, what they can develop you into. Yes, I do think sometimes Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, will they step out there and be number 1? Well, it depends on where they're going, but likely. But a lot of these guys, if they're coming into a wide receiver room with the Titans where there's not really a number 1 except for D-Hop, they have an opportunity to do just that, to prove that they can be a number 1. Battle with Traylon, right? Because he's not proven that. So I think it's the right fit can make that happen, whether that be a second rounder or a first rounder.
Interesting part of this conversation, too, is what Charles Davis told us yesterday on the possibility of whichever position you don't get in the first round between tackle or wide receiver, the possibility that in the second round you'll go back and get it.
I don't think the Titans have any issues at all about finding them. The issue is, as you said, no third-round pick.
Yeah.
So the decisions and what decision you make at the first round. Is it a tackle or a wide receiver? The second round, are you coming back to get the one you didn't get before, the tackle, the wide receiver? Or do you value the corner at that point? You better jump on him now because guess what? I don't have that pick, and everyone else is coming for these guys. So that's kind of where we're headed with all of this. I mean, the offensive tackle position, my goodness. The kid out of Washington, Fuaga, terrific. How about Fuaga coming out of Oregon State? Because you mentioned Joe Alt. I don't know that you're going to get Joe Alt. Joe Alt may be gone. All right? I'm looking at the Chargers. Imagine the Chargers taking Roshan Slater and keeping him at left tackle and putting Joe Alt at right tackle. Think Justin Herbert won't run in to their brand new GM, Joe Ortiz, and hug him? Of course he will. He'll be thrilled. But at the same time, you look at their receiving core, and while we always talk about the Chargers' great receivers, Mike Williams is coming off of yet another injury. Keenan Allen is in his mid-30s and finished the season dinged up. They didn't get any value out of Quentin Johnston out of TCU, their first-round pick last year. They have no tight end that scares you. So what if you're the Chargers now, all of a sudden you go, you know something? Maybe we pump it up differently. What if I take Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, and put him there? Well, if that's the case, if you're the Titans, you're jumping up and down. That means Alt might still be sitting there. You see where I'm going? This is how the intrigue of the draft. And we haven't even gotten into, because Ramon, you brought it up, the Raiders are itching to make a move for a quarterback.
Yep.
And if they are, they might have to get up into 4, 5, 6 territory in order to get it done.
A lot of possibilities there from Charles Davis, but I want to hone in on one specific thing that he said. The Titans have the opportunity, if they don't go tackle in the first round, to go tackle in the second, or vice versa with wide receiver.
Yeah.
If you don't go wide receiver at 7, you've got a chance to get it early in the second round. Do the Titans go tackle or wide receiver in some combination with their first 2 picks? Or do you bet on any other option? Is there a chance the Titans, well, let's put it this way, how good is the chance that the Titans go with a different position than tackle or wide receiver with one of their first 2 picks?
I think it would be smart if they had to go in a different position. You know what I'm saying? So we're discussing trades, right? Because that came up yesterday. Let's say if they move back to 11 or 13. Mm-hmm. So Alt and Fashionable is gone. Okay? One of the wide receivers that you really liked is gone. But there's a high-value guy in Quinyon Mitchell that's available at corner. And as far as best available, do you go J.C. Latham? Do you go Amaris Mims? Or do you go Quinyon Mitchell at safety? I mean, at corner. Who you know, again, we're speaking about trying to get a cornerback in. If you don't want to pay for LeJarry Sneed, and you miss out on that.
Right.
If best available is Quinyon Mitchell, and you got to choose between a tackle, corner, and a wide receiver that you don't necessarily love, but Quinyon Mitchell's there. And he may be either the first or second corner taken after Terrion Arnold, right? Value tells me Quinyon Mitchell is there. I might have to take Quinyon.
That'd be interesting because, again, with a draft last year that included no defensive players, this would be something different in terms of, the last cornerback I think they took in the first round was Caleb Farley a few years ago. We still don't know exactly what direction that's going in, but he is definitely one of the best cornerbacks on the list. And I think Charles Davis also made that clear too. He listed about 3 guys that were definitely first round, high second round guys that you really couldn't pass up on. It wouldn't surprise me, Ramon, if they did that. It really wouldn't, because if you did that and then you could get a tackle, let's say, in the second round that you still feel comfortable with developing under Bill Callahan, and then maybe you get your wide receiver in the third round if you got that extra pick.
If you got that pick.
Yeah, if you got that pick, if you traded down.
615-737-1045. Is it wide receiver, tackle, or is it something else with your first 2 picks? We'll talk about that coming up. 615-737-1045. Plus a little recap of the biggest reason why the Preds win streak is over. And he works here. Coming up.
Guys, it's a new year, and Low T Center can make it a great one. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test with their on-site lab. You'll get your results back in about 25 minutes, too. That's really fast. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office either. It's a concierge medicine for medicine. These physicians specialize in treating low testosterone and have been exclusively treating men for years with most health insurance accepted. And they have affordable and convenient treatment options, including physicians-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to your home each month. So there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. Right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T levels tested. Make your health and quality of life a priority and make it a great year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Well, last night, the Nashville Predators' 8-game win streak comes to an end, and if you are looking for the reason why, he works here. It's RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Rhett Bryan joins us in 15 minutes to talk Titans free agency. So, of course, the Preds have won 8 straight, so Buck Rising decides, I'm going to go to a Preds game. Final score, Canadiens 4, Preds 3.
Dude, Buck, do not ever go to a Preds game again. Don't do it.
Lost. I can't believe, Buck.
Did the Preds know this? Can they ban him?
If they've been good without you, why would you show up, Buck? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you show up? Like, if you really love this city, you leave the people who's been going there and watching them win alone.
Leave him alone.
Do you actually hear what they talked about it in the post-game press conference? You hear about this?
No.
Barry Trotz actually said if Buck could grow a real mustache, maybe they would have won.
Barry will say that. Barry would call him out.
He'll call him out like that.
Oh, yeah. Barry, he'd just say whatever he wants.
Old school hockey. Just say what he wants to.
It's not even just hockey that Buck is bad luck for. Anytime he's been in Geodis, they've lost. Anytime that the Titans, I think you can blame the Titans the last 2 seasons on Buck.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
He's bringing that Indiana luck, or not luck, I should say.
Colts country. He wears under his clothes what I heard.
Those Hoosiers?
Heard he wears a horseshoe under all his suits.
Oh, I bet he does.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a horseshoe tattoo on his rear.
He got one on his low back.
Filip Forsberg scored his 30th goal of the season last night, his 20th multi-point game of the season. Has a season-high 6-game point streak. He is 2 games away from matching his career-high 8-game point streak. And he is a player who can grow a mustache.
And it's a good one.
Which is why we have allowed him to come on the show at 9 o'clock this morning.
I know.
He just straight up told us he was coming. Will change that. He just, hey, I'm coming on your show this morning.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
First time with Phil. I'm excited. He's funny. He's a funny guy, but he's a hell of a player.
Mm-hmm.
Was the all-star pick for them this year, too. So represented well. I was even maybe going to ask him, like, what did you do to convince Austin Matthews, one of the best NHL players around right now, and Justin Bieber, who was the celebrity coach for his team? They were obsessed with Filip Forsberg. They were like, this guy's there. He's everything.
Wow.
I'm like, he should have been the MVP.
Wow. That's big time.
I was like, do you got his number? You got Justin Bieber's number now? Like, what's the deal?
Do I have to give me a Preds jersey?
Yeah.
They call them jerseys before I mess it up.
Sweaters, technically.
See what I'm saying?
Technically.
Jerseys
but
fine.
Just say jersey. That's fine.
Boy, we just can't just have regular jersey names for nothing.
I know. They got to be specific.
Soccer is shirts.
No, soccer's jerseys. They're all just jerseys. It's not that big a
Just
deal.
keep it
Until you
simple.
talk to a purist, it's like it's a shirt. Okay,
I'm
we'll
a
go
purist.
Maybe
It's jersey.
Canadians would say
Well, I thought
that.
they were kits.
On. See what I'm saying?
That's
Technically.
the jersey and shorts, but the jersey is just a jersey.
Oh,
Yeah.
semantics.
A kit.
Well, that's the full jersey and shorts. I don't expect you to show up in the jersey and the shorts. That would be weird.
There was a time
just a
when
shirt.
that was popular. There was a time when that was popular. You might go to a basketball court and see somebody in the short and the jersey on hooping.
Right. Yeah, that's the basketball, though.
I remember the short shorts in basketball in
In
the 70s.
basketball, well, they're back
I mean,
now.
I wasn't alive, but
They are all the way back now. I'll
I
tell you
know.
that much.
Yeah, the capris were fun. If you were playing basketball anywhere and your shorts weren't way below your knees in an era.
Man, give me the biggest shorts ever.
That was Ron played with that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Look at some recent 2007 men's basketball from college. All of them got on the biggest, baggiest shorts ever, too. Crazy how fashion's changed.
The last time we were, or Tennessee won the outright SEC championship, guys were wearing capris. 2008.
Yeah.
You call them capris. That's pretty wild.
They're literally like capris. They're short. Like the socks went up to the height where the shorts ended.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know how you don't trip.
Me either. Or just have thigh burn from all that fabric. Like, It is what it is. Why am I making sound effects this morning?
No.
We've got tons of cuts now, though,
We
so
do.
that's perfect.
Bert missed a good one earlier, which I'm
He
I'm
did.
thankful
He was
for.
out of the room.
Very thankful for.
Oh, no.
I know it was really
Yeah, you
good.
did.
What
Bert.
time was it?
We went to the
like
bathroom.
7:02 or 3.
Oh, yeah, that was when my tummy hurt.
Yeah.
Had to run to the little
We didn't
producer's
go,
room.
We didn't go into detail, though, so
Little
you're okay.
Producer's room. What's wrong with
7 o'clock, man. I'm going to dig now. If
I
Moan
know.
drops some nuggets, man, you got to go get them.
It's like
Hey,
2 in a row.
Don't mention your stomach and dropping nuggets in the same context ever again.
Ew.
Oh, come on,
Don't have to do
man.
that
What
again.
is wrong with you?
Chicken nuggets.
Oh, I'm just telling you. He said it. I just confirmed it.
My belly's hurting. I can't help it, man.
Well, go lay down. So
You need to
You're
get a
going to
cot
tell me
back
twice. If
there.
I lay down, I ain't getting back up.
Coming up, Rhett Bryan will join us. Titans Radio's executive producer discusses the combine. We'll ask him his favorite road game he's been to with the Titans. He's been to quite a few of them. Our question of the morning at Ramon Kayla Will. What is the best road game you have ever experienced for one of your teams in person? We'll spend the next 40 minutes plus with Rhett Bryan talking through some Titans free agent targets. Next.
All right, it is that time of the year to simply enjoy life. Stop letting that pain in your joints keep you from doing what you want to do this spring. And it is technically spring right around the corner, although we are in March. We'll call it QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. And I'm talking about lasting joint pain relief, no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. In fact, QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. Look, pro athletes have been doing this for years, but now this life-changing treatment is available for you. So you can walk, run, climb the stairs, maybe play golf, just simply move again pain-free. QC Kinetics had tens of thousands of satisfied patients who have reclaimed their mobility. And now it's time to take action and live your best life this spring and summer. So call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. It's simple. Call them at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
8 o'clock on the dot from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Deadline for the franchise tag came and went yesterday with 9 players receiving the tag, most notably 2 AFC South players, wide receiver Michael Pittman and edge Josh Allen. With the Jags tagging Allen, it leaves the de facto number 1 wide receiver in free agency, Calvin Ridley, to test the market. Ben Arthur of Fox Sports estimates his contract will average between $23 and $25 million a year. While we're talking AFC South, the Texans extend tight end Dalton Schultz to a 3-year, $36 million contract. Schultz has been waiting for 2 years to get the contract he deserved, being tagged by the Cowboys in 22, and then last year signing a 1-year prove-it deal in Houston. Dalton hauled in 59 passes for 635 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now a weapon for Stroud stays in Houston. And one position who had seen its free agency presence grow is safety. Seattle added 2 more talented safeties to that group, releasing former All-Pro Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. If you throw tight end Will Dissly in there, the Seahawks saved just over $30 million in cap space with 3 releases. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 3, second half of the show starts right now on RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, brewed up by 8th and Roast with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. Joining us now an hour early on this Wednesday morning, he is the executive producer of Titans Radio, the one and only Rhett Bryan. What's up, Rhett? How are you?
Good morning, everybody. I am actually remote. I'm in Humboldt, Hendersonville, getting ready to go into Dr. William Burris Elementary School. Going to have a day of going to visit schools and do Fuel Up to Play 60 shows for kids. I'm doing it with T-Rack and cheerleaders and the all-world punter and great person, Brett Kern.
Nice,
right?
Tell Brett we said hi.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You up there with my people, Rhett. Take good care of them, okay? In Humboldt, Hendersonville, man. We appreciate you. We really do.
Absolutely will. I love doing these shows. These kids love this stuff, man. So we're going to do one here and doing a couple through a couple others in Middle Tennessee, and then doing another couple tomorrow. So it's good being out with the folks.
So, Rhett, we've been talking all morning about best road wins for fans in this area that they have seen in person. I think I know your answer on this, but I will even allow you an honorable mention. But when you think about the road wins you have seen in person for the Titans, which is your favorite?
All right, so what do you think my answer is going to be? Let's go there first.
I think your answer is going to be ending the Brady dynasty in New England.
Bingo, bango, bongo. There it is.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. That was one of the most fulfilling, great things. Oh, my gosh. I mean, the Titans, they hadn't beaten the Patriots. I don't even remember the last time. I want to say it was back in 2002 on Monday Night Football at Nissan Stadium. I mean, it had been a long, long time. I mean, every time we'd gone to Foxborough, Titans came home empty-handed. And for that to have a pick six at the end right there, it was a beautiful punt made by Brett Kern, as a matter of fact, who I'm about to see, to get them in position, and then to have a former Patriot become the Patriot killer and Logan Ryan to pick six it and end the dynasty. That's one of the greatest nights ever. And then followed up the next week and beat, as Ramon calls them, the Rat Birds in Baltimore, the divisional round to go to the AFC Championship game. That was a good couple of weeks right there, boys and girls.
Sure was. The 2018 game at Nissan Stadium was the only Titans win since 2002 when Mariota cooked Belichick in New England 34-10. on November 11th, 2018. But you're right. It had been 2002 other than that one.
You're right. And then that 18 game at Nissan, that was the one where the Titans brought so much pressure. They actually, remember, they sat Tom Brady in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, they pulled him.
Wow. That is, boy, you want to talk about a lot of other happy fan bases from that right there, Rhett. I told Will early that was very, very, very much appreciated, okay?
Oh, you're welcome. You're more than welcome. Look, we were sick of them like everybody else. And, boy, what a difference they're in now. Of course, hey, your old college roommate, Gerard Mayo, is running the show now.
I know. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. My loyalty's to my friends most times, so I'll cheer for him, just not for the actual team. Can you get away with that?
You can actually root for a person, but that franchise, no, not ever doing that.
I gotta ask you too, because it was brought up by Bam earlier. Where does that Miami game also stand? And when it comes down to a road win victory also, Rhett?
You know, the one on Monday Night Football this last season?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be on up there pretty good just because of the circumstances and how it ebbed and flowed right there towards the end. And then, Vrabel going for two and, them putting the thing – I mean, that was crazy. That's got to be – mentioned in probably the top 25, at least top 50 games, just because of, that was one of the few bright spots towards the back half of that season. It was wild. I remember that part. It was wild.
Yeah.
Rhett, when you look at the conversation out of the NFL Combine and just what the chatter around the tables around you guys, just people you talked to in Indy last week, league-wide, what kind of stood out? There's always different conversations that start in Indy, whether it's rule changes, moves, quarterbacks that they're no longer loved by their teams and organizations. As you kind of reflect on last week, what stood out to you?
I think the first bit of back chatter is just how the tackle discussion is going to be at the top of the draft. There was thought that maybe, it might have been Fashanu over Alt earlier in that week last week, and that Joe Alt showed what he needed to show in the testing and everything. And unfortunately for Ola Fashanu, he pulled a hamstring on that first 40-yard dash attempt. But I thought that was interesting because I started to hear little bits and pieces of those things. But the other, clearly it's a quarterback league, and to kind of start to hear whispers about, who does what near the top of the draft. And Ramon can attest to this because we recorded an OTP podcast with Mac and Amy Wells yesterday, and we were all talking about the free agent stuff, and I think that's going to shape the top of the draft in that first night of the draft is two different things. One, what Chicago does at number one. Do they trade away Justin Fields and take Caleb Williams or whoever at quarterback? And the bigger one of the two, in my opinion, is what Atlanta does. If Atlanta takes on Kirk Cousins and then they're out of the quarterback market, then people are going to try to trade up to 8 instead of 7 where the Titans are, maybe give the Titans some extra currency to do some drafting with.
Hey, Rhett, so last year you had your draft crush, and I think you've been pretty good in terms of hitting on, these players that you see early on, and then that obviously Tajay Spears coming to the Tennessee Titans and being very productive last year. With your time spent at the Combine now and the Senior Bowl, anybody who's kind of sticking on you?
I've got a few guys I like. I'll tell you the guy that I really, really like based on the interview we had with him and just interacting with him for a few moments is Ray Davis, the running back from Kentucky via Vanderbilt. And he actually started his career at Temple. If you have a subscription to The Athletic, I would urge you to go look at the column that was written about him last week. he was homeless at 8 or 9 years old. Both of his parents were incarcerated. And I don't know if I shared this story with you, but he had, of his 3 youngest siblings, someone came, a relative came, and in the foster parent system, and said, "Hey, I have enough room for 2 of you, but not all 3 of you." And he chose to say, "Hey, take my younger siblings, and I'll just figure it out." And he ended up being homeless. And just the whole story, it's a marvelous story of how he finally got shelter and space from someone through his school. It was a teacher, actually. And just now he's about to pass the biggest job interview of his life and become a National Football League player. And he can play football. And if he can overcome what he did as a kid, he can definitely play football. Now, overall, though, Kayla, this draft is loaded with things that you like, and certainly in terms of the Titans, where their positions of need. It's a very deep tackle draft. An offensive line draft, period. There are a lot of good interior linemen in this. Mm-hmm. And because of the world we live in with 7-on-7 football and those things, I mean, there is a good Lord. What kind of wide receiver you want? They're all different shapes, sizes, speeds, the whole bit. And so there's plenty of those. There's some good edge rushers in this. There's some good corners, especially nickel cornerbacks. There's different spots this thing's got some riches in. Just like every draft, there's places that are thinner positions than others. But the Titans have got a chance to make themselves better in this, for sure.
When we come back with Rhett Bryan, we're going to dive into a free agency preview of the top 3 free agents of the Titans' own organization to potentially re-sign. And Rhett has given us 3 names out on the free agent market, 2 on offense and 1 on defense to break down. And 1 has got some familiarity with not 1, but 2 Titans defensive assistants. That and more as we continue with Titans Radio's Rhett Bryan next on RKW.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson, joined by our good friend, certified arborist Dean Glasscock of Save a Tree. So, Dean, this time of the year, we've seen the sun come out a little, which is good news for everybody. So, people may be interested in tip-topping their trees and shrubs, full-service tree and shrub and lawn care. What can you tell us?
That's right. Well, it's just all full service, just pick up the phone, give us a call. We want a chance to serve you. It's 615-299-9999. It's all about your home, what's around your home on the outside, what you invest in. Landscaping is expensive, so we can help you protect your investment. You can trust the experts at Save a Tree to help you maintain and enhance your new home's landscape. So give us a call, 615-299-9999. We do a complimentary consultation. We'll come out for free. We'll look around and we'll give you some suggestions and give you a lot of knowledge to give you something to compare and make a good decision about your home. So if it's pruning or nutrients or disease, anything to do with weeds around your lawn as well, we will do it all for you now. So 615-299-9999. We want to serve you, so give us a call. Y'all have a great Wednesday.
Thanks, Dean. You heard him, 615-299-9999, or just simply log online to saveatree.com. That's SAVATREE.com.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you, and Rhett Bryan at Titans Radio on the line. Rhett, let's talk some free agents, shall we? It really does sneak up on you when you get to the point where we are 50 days from the NFL draft, and then it's, oh, wait, Monday. Tampering begins, and free agency is a week away.
Yeah, and it's just the next step in all of this. And with as crazy as an offseason as this has already been for the Titans with the firing of Mike Vrabel, it's just been, one thing after the other. And, I mean, we got a lot of stuff to go on between now and the next 50 days. And this is just the next chapter. But, yeah, I'm ready to dive into some things. I think, we talk about, as you teased before the break started, 3 free agents of their own that I think that they need to re-sign, and then some outside the team looks that I think that they need to consider.
Right. One question I want to ask you before we dive deeper into that, and it's something I said to Will and Kayla as we was going into one of the breaks, was as the closer we get to either free agency, the draft, and the realness of like selecting and making decisions, why do every year we get further away with lies and stuff like that? Like, we know this team needs a tackle, but the closer we get to the draft, the other conversations come up. And it seems to be like the same rotation every single year. Do you have any rhyme or reason as to why, Rhett, we play these mind games with ourselves?
Well, as Coach Mack would say, there's a lot of shoe clerks out there that are throwing stuff against the wall and just to see what sticks and what happens. There are legitimate people who report on the National Football League that maybe have talked to agents or talked to people in the know. Unfortunately, we don't know what's the truth until, right before it happens or just after it happens. It's just, the NFL is a year-round product, and the speculation monster is wide open this time of the year.
All right, Ray, let's start with 3 outside candidates in the free agent market to come to the Tennessee Titans, and a Carolina Panthers linebacker who spent time with Denard Wilson in New York from 2018 to 2020, and perhaps more importantly, Frank Bush was his linebackers coach and assistant head coach in 2019 and 2020, including interim defensive coordinator in 2020. Panthers linebacker Frankie Louvu, Rhett, where would he fit, and how well do you feel like he would fit into this defense?
Well, the thing about him is he's a tackling machine. I mean, first of all, he was, undrafted out of Washington State, 2018 by the Jets, came to Carolina, and just think about this. First of all, he's 6'3", 236. He's only 27 years old, so the free agents I'm talking about are going into their prime years. And in the last 2 years for the Carolina Panthers, 212 tackles, 12 and a half quarterback sacks, 9 pass breakups, and an interception. I mean, he pops on the film every time. And with how you wove that in to lead into Frankie Louvu, that tells me right there how well he'd fit in if he already knows Denard Wilson and certainly his position coach, Frank Bush. When we saw the Carolina Panthers recently, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the game book, but I bet he had nearly a dozen tackles. So I like the guy's style, and I just think he'd be a good addition. And again, this is a position that the Titans need.
And it's interesting with Louvu, 7 sacks each of the last 2 seasons, a 90.1 pass rush grade this past season. I think specifically, Rhett, the athleticism and just the ability of that guy, like you mentioned, to play in different roles in coverage, the speed that he has at the inside linebacker position, feels like something the Titans have been missing for a few years now.
Yeah, he is what do they say? He's not afraid of contact, and he is successful in winning pass rush reps when they present themselves. I like the way the guy plays, and I guarantee you, so does Denard Wilson and Frank Bush, who will be running this Titans defense going forward.
Rhett, next up, we've got a tackle from New England, a guy that when we did our wish list for free agents a few weeks ago was at the top of mind in tackle/guard Mike Onwenu. projected from Spot Track to get 4 years, $54 million, $13.6 million average annual value. When you look at his resume and his versatility specifically, Rhett, what stands out?
Well, first of all, so we knew this was going to be a thing the minute that yesterday's franchise tag, transition tag deadline was going to pass, and the Patriots put the transition tag, the only one of the 9 that were tagged, safety Kyle Duggar, they put that on him yesterday. So all of a sudden, here's Mike Onwenu, who is all of a sudden available, right? Mm-hmm. So again, 6th-round pick in the 2020 draft out of Michigan, 26 years old, 6'3", 350 pounds. He's a big fella. Started 41 games, never allowed more than 3 quarterback sacks in a season, is a prime premier run blocker. Only 10 penalties, Ramon, over his 4 years as a New England Patriot. And in 2023, I think he allowed 3 sacks and a handful of pressures. But anyway, 656 snaps at right tackle, 194 of them at right guard. So there's versatility there. And I think he's somebody that, that's a high-dollar free agent, but I think it'd be well served with the place that you need him to help protect Will Levis.
And how important, Rhett, is that just for the depth of the line? Like we're just looking at starters, and we're so concerned about the starter at left tackle, the starter at right. But the depth is such a thing, and we saw that the past couple of years, that you've got to have that as well.
Kayla, that's key. I mean, the more you know and the more you can do. That is absolutely key in this. And knowing that he can line up at right tackle or at right guard, position multiplicity with your guys to provide a place where they can, somebody unfortunately goes out with an injury, he can bump in or bump out to line up and go again. And I just the thing I'm impressed with is, his numbers speak for themselves, but he's just 26 years old. And again, guy coming into his prime, and he's got to get paid. And I wouldn't mind if the Titans spent some cash right there.
And what's fascinating about Onwenu is this, right? He comes out and was labeled somewhat as a guard, but has excelled pretty well at tackle, too. And when you have a new coach with a new staff and trying to figure out who's our best 5, I think we'll see this offseason, particularly in free agency maybe for this team, that they're probably going to bring in a multitude of different types of guys to create a competitive environment. I will say, Rhett, I think that's something that room, the offensive line room, has been somewhat lacking also. Do you view that the same as far as the competitive edge of competing for spots?
I think there's something to that. You would know better than I am, because you played it and lived it and all those things. But, yeah, I think, when Taylor Lewan was let go and has stepped away from the game, there hasn't been, like last year, there really wasn't, there's no Ben Jones last year. So there wasn't that clear-cut leader. I think Aaron Brewer took that on because he was the eldest guy in the room, I guess, with the most Titans experience. But, yeah, I just, the more competition you got, the more better it is. And you're right with Onwenu, at 350 pounds, ain't a whole lot of guys going to move him around. So, yeah, he could bump out to right tackle. That's a big man right there.
It really is, man. And we speak a lot about the draft as far as do you go tackle, do you go wide receivers and skills. And the free agency market at wide receiver will be substantial. You will have your picks of guys that you can get something out of. Gabe Davis, Rhett, where are you at on a guy like him?
Well, he's one of my favorite targets for the Titans in this. I liked him when he came out of Central Florida all those years ago. And you just look at, and again, we're talking about a guy who is going into his prime year. He's 25 years old. That's it. In his 4 years as a Buffalo Bill, Gabe Davis has only missed 3 games. So availability, there, check that off. That's good. He's averaged almost 17 yards a catch over those 4 years, 27 touchdowns, and then the explosive plays he can do. We saw that playoff game that they lost in Kansas City a couple of years ago where he had 4 touchdowns. I mean, that just cemented in my mind what he can do for this thing in an offense. But in terms of the explosive plays, 46 plays of 20 yards or longer, X plays, and then 9 of 40 yards or longer. So he can move the chains in this. And, 163 catches, almost 2,800 yards. So I really like that young man. You'll see some people on Twitter go, he's a little this, he's a little that, whatever. You know, does he love the game? I think he loves the game. And I think he's got a chance to prove that he loves it somewhere else. And I'd like to see him be a Tennessee Titan. With the way they went to Dalton Kincaid last year, and obviously Stephon Diggs is a part of that, for him to still get those kinds of numbers, I just think he's a good young target that can help you.
So, Rhett, do you see them in free agency, clearly probably adding a wide receiver? Also, do you see them drafting? Like, how many wide receivers do you feel like they add to this group this year? Because there are really some unknowns at that position right now, like you said.
I think they add one in free agency, maybe 2 in free agency, and I certainly think they draft one. Don't know how many they draft because they've got a bunch of later picks in the later rounds. I think they have 3 7s. With the wide receiving stuff, that class coming out, like I said, it's got value throughout the draft. But I certainly think they'll sign 1 or 2 in free agency. And then add again in the draft because, that's, again, a room that we don't know a ton about outside of, DeAndre Hopkins and needing Treylon Burks to come forward in year 3.
Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio, our guest, as he is every Wednesday morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rhett, let's look at pending free agents from the Titans' perspective and start to get an inside linebacker, where Azeez Al-Shire is an option for the Titans to potentially bring back. Where does he rank for you among the options the Titans have to keep some continuity, specifically on a defense that is facing a ton of turnover this next fall?
I think he's one of the top 3 free agents of their own that they should consider re-signing. And look, this is just looking at a guy with production and leadership and those things. I like the way he played. I think he's an outstanding person. And of course, obviously with a new regime there, I think, sometimes philosophies change, but I just think that's a place where you can bring him back. He can help you once again in that role inside linebacker. I think he's one of the top 3 guys they should look at trying to re-sign.
Rhett, what does a deal for Danico Autry potentially look like, and how big of a priority is that for you, keeping him right next to Jeffrey Simmons?
I don't know what the numbers and the structure look like because he's, 33, going on 34, I guess. But you continue to look at the production from a guy like that who just, good grief, man, he just keeps but that's a guy who is a wily veteran who knows how to take care of his body. He's told the training staff, this is what I need every week to get myself ready to go to a game and get ready to play. And then he brings it. I mean, I think he and Jeff work well together. I have him as probably the top free agent that they should consider re-signing. And I think they'd like to have him back, and I sure hope that they can work something out there.
I think a guy like Morgan Cox might have something to say about that, Rhett, because there's one thing that has to improve, and that is, of course, the efficiency of special teams. And Morgan's been efficient. I'm not saying it's him, but having Stoney come back from an injury, figuring out the kicker situation, having a steady Eddie like Morgan Cox, man, should be something they consider this offseason, Rhett, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's one of the top 3 free agents of their own that they should bring back. And the thing about Morgan, consummate professional, certainly a team leader. I think he was one of the team captains last year, if I'm not mistaken. And continuity, stability, all of those things that you need when there's a massive roster turnover like there is every year, and a coaching change. So, yeah, I would love for them to have Morgan Cox back, and I guarantee you Ryan Stonehouse would. And by the way, Stoney, I think, is doing good. I think he's back to running now. I think
Nice.
he's just started running, and so he should be progressing pretty well. But, yeah, I would love for them to get Morgan Cox back because long snappers are one of those things, in my opinion, are not a dime a dozen. I mean, the really good ones are under contract somewhere.
On the note of special teams, Rhett, I just thinking of this because Nick Folk is obviously was on a 1-year deal. What do you think direction-wise the Titans go in terms of a kicker? Because it's kind of been a little wonky in the last 3 years. Do they find their young kicker as maybe signing them as a undrafted free agent, or do you go out and just get one of these veterans?
Well, I'll say this. I don't know that they spend money that way on a kicker, and I haven't even looked at free agent kickers, to be honest with you, Kayla. But I will say this. Keep in mind, currently, as we're talking here on March the 6th, they have 3, I believe, 7th-round draft picks. You could take a flyer pick on somebody like that at the end. But to your point, you might be able to get one undrafted. However, as there's more and more an influx of Australian kickers and punters coming into this, because, I mean, I think it's about half a dozen of those just in the SEC last year. There's some really good talent in this thing, and I think you'll see some teams, and you've seen this over the last handful of years, starting to draft kickers a little earlier, some way earlier than others. But I think that's something they need to look at. I know Nick Folk was great. He was more than serviceable. But I think if you're trying to get younger at that spot, you can do it with some kickers that are coming out of this draft.
He is Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio with us every Wednesday on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rhett, enjoy the community that Ramon Foster built up there in humble Hendersonville today.
They were good before me.
Yeah, in subtle and silent Sumner County, whatever. What do you call it?
Simple Sumner.
Humble Hendersonville.
Simple Sumner. That's it. Simple Sumner County. No, I'm really looking forward to this. The kids love these shows. And we get as much fun out of them as they do watching them. It's really fun, and just getting out in the community and seeing kids. Because, post-pandemic, a lot of these kids, haven't had a school assembly on a regular basis or any kind of a production or show or anything. And so they get jacked up now. I mean, they jump out of the building. They get so excited. Sometimes we have to calm them down. It's like, all right, hang on a second. Just slow down a minute so you can hear what we're trying to bring across the message here. We want you to fuel up, and we want you to play 60 play for an hour every day, and do your homework, listen to your teachers. But you need to listen to what we're saying so you can comprehend it and apply it.
No doubt.
That's great. You'll have fun.
Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio with us. Rhett, thank you as always.
Have a great rest of your show and a great rest of your Wednesday.
Yes, sir. There he is. Rhett Bryan with us this morning here on RKW. Coming up, there are reports in media of one interesting landing spot for Bill Belichick. We'll talk about it next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, this month is Happy's Golden Ticket Sweepstake at Hiller. Enter to win. I'm going to tell you now, and I'll tell you later, at HillerGoldenTicket.com. All you got to do is enter your email, and you're automatically entered to win, okay? It's that simple. Prizes include a $5,000 Hiller gift card, a $100,000, not a $100,000, well, a $1,000 Hiller gift card, or one of 10 Happy Hiller Club memberships, which entail a whole lot of things, man, as far as service, maintenance, and just them taking care of your house. Or you can just simply take advantage of their 0-interest financing for 48 months on select new HVAC systems, or 36 months of tankless water heaters and whole home generators. Don't miss out and enter to win now. Again, at HillerGoldenTicket.com.
Wednesday morning rolls on at RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, and the only thing down worse than Bill Belichick's resume as a coach is the Wi-Fi in this building.
Oof.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. Notice Ramon does not answer because he's not happy about it.
We get this figured out, please, because my phone's draining.
I told y'all, I refuse to complain over air anymore.
Well, I just did it for you.
I'll contribute it as it happens to the morning crew only, but I know everybody else probably deal with stuff too. I'm just refusing. I ain't walking down that dark. Two things I ain't doing. I ain't complaining on air about the people I work with no more, okay, and IT and internet, okay, even though I somewhat threw it away anyway. And I'm not champion Vandy anymore as far as sports. As far as the
he's
fans.
just talking about it.
I can appreciate baseball. I can appreciate Stack and basketball. Miss Candace Lee Story. Dr. Candace Lee Story, respect
Tim Corbin,
for
Story Lee.
Story Lee. Sorry, Miss Candace. Somebody come back and snitch on me for saying your name wrong because people do snitch in this era. Okay, and I can appreciate the stuff they're doing to the football
Tim
stadium.
Corbin, you got to put him in there.
Tim Corbin, I did. I said baseball first.
Okay, you did.
I said baseball first. I did. And I appreciate the renovations they're trying to make. Okay, over there. What I'm not gonna do over this airways anymore is try to get their fan base to go support. Okay. That's what I'm not going to do. So it's the second time this morning. If I hear it again, you might get me. But I'm not doing it.
So you could put them in a building with not functioning Wi-Fi to support together. So you combine the two problems into one that you're not going to talk about.
This must be a Nashville business thing.
Perfect.
Okay?
Well, anyway, Peyton Manning is pursuing Bill Belichick in an effort to sign the longtime Patriots coach with Omaha Productions.
Omaha.
And within this, there is the possibility of a Saban-Belichick cast.
Oh.
If Peyton Manning were to sign Bill Belichick, the idea with ESPN to create a, quote, Manning cast, per Andrew Marchand of The Athletic, featuring Belichick and Nick Saban, is expected to be discussed. I am all in.
Oh, my God.
Done.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Bill doesn't need to coach another second. Give me Belichick and Saban talking about cover 3 and press man coverage, whatever the heck they would talk about.
The coach's telecast.
Coaches said
100%.
However we need to call it, I do want to hear that.
The coach cast.
I want to hear how they built up what they have. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't they do an NFL Films thing? I know Belichick did.
HBO. Two of them together did a thing.
Thank you. And that was really fascinating. So I'm assuming it would be similar to that, but just live game action.
Yeah, no, so I'm with Will. Sign me up for that one. Like, as much as I hated both of them, I listened to those dudes talk, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, the enemy of my enemy who was beating me down in college and in NFL, I would listen to them 100%.
Be interesting, that's for sure.
100%.
So, according to this report, Belichick has yet to meet with ESPN, but ESPN is interested, and Omaha Productions and ESPN work closely together on Monday Night Football, the Manning host documentary Peyton's Places, and other satellite shows. Bill has met with CBS and NBC, according to this report. The recently retired Jason Kelsey is also high on both networks' lists, of course, which makes a lot of sense. But reportedly, networks are hesitant to offer Bill Belichick a spot on a desk because of the strong belief that Belichick, who turns 72 in a month, wants to go back to the sidelines to take another crack at Don Shula's record for all-time wins at 347 regular and postseason head coaching wins. He's 14 back. Doing something like this that is irregular and maybe 6 or 7 broadcasts, or maybe even 2 or 3, with Saban, with Peyton, with Pat McAfee, whoever else it is that they throw in there with ESPN, it feels like makes the most sense for Bill in 2024.
It does. And Bill, like, legitimately, if you're trying to go back and be a head coach somewhere, whatever team you're going to is probably going to be a lowly ranked team or a bad team in general. So, like, 14 games is possibly 2 seasons for him. Anybody seeing Bill Belichick going 14-3? So it's a 2-season commitment for him, and you're already 72. Like, that right there is a heck of a commitment to yourself, your health,
72
your
next
family.
month.
Like, that's a lot to be asked. But, of course, don't question the greats, right? Because the greats always have this switch in them that gets them going. I understand it, but I think you were pushed out for a reason, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the type of football coaches that he, football coach he is, maybe even when you put Vrabel in there while he's a lot younger, just like that Belichick way, doesn't seem to be the way right now in terms of where teams are going. And you saw it, like you said, firsthand, because those two coaches in particular did not get hired in this cycle. That doesn't mean to say that they won't be hired in the future, but the fits for the teams that were looking for jobs or looking for head coaching, candidates, those weren't the fit. So I think he could potentially go back into coaching. I still think he's that type of personality that wants to prove it, but maybe he falls in love with TV this year. And we all know some of those guys that have gone to TV that got out of coaching, they stayed there.
They did stay.
They stayed there. There in Pittsburgh.
You can game plan all day long and not have to have the stresses of actually being on the side.
And you're making the money.
I think the part that's interesting about Omaha Productions is that you wouldn't be putting Bill in an awkward position as a traditional game analyst to say bad things about his friends. And that's where I think Tom Brady is going to have an interesting time in his first season is how willing is he to say, yeah, this quarterback just missed a throw here. He should be better. Yeah. Guys like that so often, the way officials do sometimes, right? Defend their own to a fault. You wouldn't have to do that if you simply framed this as, hey, this is going to be Bill Belichick and Peyton Manning or Bill Belichick and Nick Saban telling stories and breaking down X's and O's like in schematics of a game versus, yeah, he's got to do a better job holding that block there. He lets him get inside and yada, 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 and he's sacked and he didn't do well enough. Like, I don't think Bill is going to be the type to go after his friends in football.
And that's where it becomes problematic because I don't know if, like you said, if it's Omaha, but those networks want to create a storyline.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Coming up next, Predators forward Filip Forsberg joins us. Predators' 8-game win streak comes to an end last night, but he's got 30 goals as of last night as well. Barry Trotz told the Tennessean that he thinks the Predators are leaning towards being buyers at Friday's NHL trade deadline. We'll ask Phil about that. Ask him what's changed with a Predators team that is on fire going into a crucial part of the season. Filip Forsberg joins us live next.
Guys, it's a new year, and Low T Center can make it a great one. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test with their on-site lab. You'll get your results back in about 25 minutes, too. That's really fast. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office either. It's a concierge medicine for medicine. These physicians specialize in treating low testosterone and have been exclusively treating men for years with most health insurance accepted. And they have affordable and convenient treatment options, including physicians-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to your home each month. So there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. Right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T levels tested. Make your health and quality of life a priority and make it a great year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. It's Ramon Foster for Wesley Mortgage, man. I'm here to tell you he's currently recruiting top mortgage talent, and they are hiring right now. If you didn't know also, Wesley Mortgage is also the official mortgage provider of the Tennessee Titans and the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Right now, the owner, Chuck McDowell, is a local Nashville native. He cares about the community and is proud to serve them. Chuck reinvests in the people and the place that makes Nashville such a wonderful place. While other mortgage companies are downsizing, Chuck McDowell and the Wesley Mortgage team are rapidly expanding in Nashville, keeping people working in a career they love, and they would love to have you join that team too. Chuck and the leadership team at Wesley Mortgage have a support system in place to help you succeed in mortgage business, ensuring your loans close on time, making sure you get paid, giving you back the time to build your business and bring back the fun of the mortgage professional. With unique networking opportunities with the Tennessee Titans and the Music City Grand Prix, they make closing deals and building relationships fun again. So if you're in the mortgage industry and you're tired of the grind, tired of the pressure, and tired of micromanaging everything to make sure clients get handled correctly, then you owe it to yourself to go to whywesley.com.
What's going on? 901. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Deadline for the franchise tag, with 9 players receiving the tag, ended yesterday. Most notably, 2 AFC South players, wide receiver Michael Pittman and edge Josh Allen. With the Jags tagging Josh Allen, it leaves the de facto number 1 wide receiver in free agency, Calvin Ridley, to test the market. Ben Arthur of Fox Sports estimated his contract will average between $23 and $25 million a year. While we're talking AFC South, the Texans extend tight end Dalton Schultz and to a 3-year, $36 million contract. Schultz has been waiting for 2 years to get the contract he deserved, being tagged by the Cowboys in 22 and last year signing a 1-year prove-it deal with Houston. Dalton hauled in 59 passes for 635 yards and 5 touchdowns. Another weapon staying in Houston with C.J. Stroud. And one position who has seen its free agency presence grow is safety. Seattle added 2 more to the group, releasing former All-Pro safety Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. If you throw tight end Will Dissly in, the Seahawks saved just over $30 million in cap space. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nine a.m. in Nashville. Welcome back into RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, right here on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, with our 11-year NFL veteran, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. We are joined now by one of the stars of one of the hottest teams, not only in hockey, but, dare I say, sports. The Nashville Predators' own Filip Forsberg joins us right now here on the show. Filip, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good.
Good morning.
We're good. I know things didn't go the way you guys wanted last night at overtime, but 8 wins out of 9, still outstanding. What's going right for you guys right now?
No, I agree. I think obviously last night we left a point on the board. I thought we could have won that game, obviously, but there's a few things we could have done better to get that one. But overall, I think we've been playing well. I think we're starting to realize kind of how we have to play, and when we do, we're great. And if we don't, we obviously slip a little bit. Like last night, it's going to be more of a 50-50 game, and it could go either way. And but like you said, overall, the last couple of weeks has been really good hockey for us.
And this season with Andrew Burnett as well, just getting to know him and learn what he expects of you guys. Was there one moment where things kind of clicked for you guys? What have those conversations been like that have sparked such a great streak over these last few weeks?
No, I mean, I think it's just a progress, to be honest. Like, obviously, you start the season with a pretty clean slate with a new coach and a new GM and everything. And training camp was great, but like I said, it takes a little bit of time for everyone to get on the same page with the new system and everything like that. And I think that's something that first you have to deal with that, like I said, in training camp. But then once the season goes, you find kind of the identity of the team. Obviously, you have a plan, and that plan is usually the plan, like I said, but sometimes you find out that, oh, this is good, this works. And I think kind of that we've kind of passed that period now and starting to, like I said, realize what kind of team we are. And when we do play like that, we're a really good team.
Filip Forsberg joining us on RKW this morning. Phil, you've been on this Preds team for a while now, right? You've seen coaches come and go. You've seen players come and go. How would you describe this group this year? And are you starting to really find that identity right now after the All-Star break?
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. Like I said, I would describe us as a hardworking, energetic. I'm looking for the right word, but I think my English vocabulary isn't finding it right.
You're pretty good at English, though.
Yeah, can I say it in Swedish? Is that what? I think, like I said, we're just when we do play our game, there's no time and space for the other team. We're all over them, both offensively and defensively. We play fast, we skate, we attack, we hang on to pucks in the O zone, and like I said, it's not the easiest to find a word for it to describe all those things. But I think that's what happens when we do play our game. And I think when we're all connected like that, we're really good. And obviously we proved that against some of the best teams in the league recently, with obviously playing Vegas and Colorado and kind of giving it to them for periods of time. And like I said, but when we do slip, obviously we're a little bit off. But I think as we've gone, there's been more and more consistency of that. And then surprise, surprise, the results are coming with it too.
So you got your 30th goal of the season last night, your fourth 30th goal season in Nashville. You went to the All-Star game this year up in Toronto. Justin Bieber is like obsessed with you, rightfully so. Like, what, Phil, has been working for you this year it just seems like that you can't be stopped? I mean, it's the mustache, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason, to be honest with you, Kayla. I think that holds all the power. No, but I think just the entrance of Ryan O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist to me personally obviously has helped a lot. I think our line has been playing really well since really the start of the season when we got put together, and we keep growing and keep improving that chemistry between the two of us, and both those guys have been unbelievable for me and for our team, and not just on the ice but in the locker room. They're great leaders. They've been around the room, different rooms, and been around the league for a long time, and they really know what it takes to win, which is really cool to see firsthand. And I think that's honestly the most part of the success that I've been able to have.
Filip Forsberg with us this morning. Filip, I have to ask you, man, as a pro sometimes, and just in sports in general, you find yourself on these winning streaks, which you guys were just on. Was there a point of anxiety that somewhat hit you guys, or the feeling of, okay, when is the loss going to happen? Because at that point, you know you're that good, but it's a long season. A loss is bound to come. Are you somewhat relieved because of it also?
I mean, I think it's one of those things that, like you said, you can't go 82-0 and just sweep the season, obviously. But at the same time, when you're playing well, you have that good feeling, and you know how it goes. Momentum is such a big thing in sports, and you have it. You really have it. But when you don't, you can feel it as well. So I think that was the more of the thing, just to keep playing. Like I said, win or losses you can't necessarily control, but you can control how you play and how you perform out there and how everybody shows up. But like I said, I think the main thing that we've done in these 8 games has been playing really good hockey, and I think that slipped a little bit last night. And sometimes you get away with that, and you get a win anyway, and you feel good. But then I think, like I said, we didn't really earn it as well as we had in the last few games. And like you said, maybe it's a good thing just to keep the guys on their toes.
The other side of this is the more you win, the bigger the brand gets, and that's one thing I've always been told here is Nashville took off when they saw you guys put it on display for the world to see as far as the excitement. Have you seen an uptick in just the amount of youth that come to the game and the amount of people you may run into public now that says, hey, I'm playing hockey because of you? Because I didn't realize for a while that the hockey community here has gotten much bigger.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've been here for 10, 11 years now, and when I first came here, obviously you run into people here and there and be like, oh, cool, you play for the Preds. I went to the game and there was a fight. That was the extent of the knowledge. But now you can tell the fan base are very knowledgeable at this point. They're very passionate. They're obviously every now and then there's the odd booing, which we don't love, but we understand, which means that they at least starting to get to know the game a lot more, which is great for the future generations, like you said. And just being able to see more kids playing hockey. Obviously, I got my hockey clinic that we run every summer that we've seen an uptick in people every year in the last few years we've done it. And it's so cool because you see the same kids come over and over again, and there's new kids, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day, just kind of creating that. I mean, this is not a hockey town, and now it is, which is really cool.
Filip Forsberg, our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Phil, with the NHL trade deadline coming up, have you had any conversations with your new GM about, hey, look, this core's playing pretty well, 8 wins out of 9. Let's add some pieces coming up this week. What do you hope takes place over these next few days?
It's a great question, obviously. Like I said, we've definitely put ourselves back into the conversation. I mean, before this win streak that we just ended, things were a lot tighter in the standings for the playoffs, and obviously it's hard to. I'm happy I'm not a GM because it's not an easy job to deal with people, but to also with success of the team. You know, that's a balance that I'm not envious of at all for Trotzy and his team. But I haven't talked to him anything. very, very comfortable with the situation. That, I mean, he's done nothing but great things so far with, like I said, bringing some of those guys in that I talked about earlier. And for me, it'd be an exciting couple of days, obviously, not just for our team, but for any team. As always, you guys know this is a little bit of a crazy couple of days. But like I said, I love where our team is at, whether that's adding or keeping. That's up for someone else to answer to.
Phil, I know tomorrow you're going to be sharing a city with Lionel Messi again, and I know you didn't get the chance to meet him after the Leagues Cup final last year, and you're very involved with Nashville SC and all of these things. Give me a tactical breakdown. Like, what are you telling? Do you talk with any of the Nashville SC players of how to defend Lionel Messi? Like, how do you see this game going tomorrow night?
I mean, I don't necessarily talk to the players. I feel like they know. It's not like they come ask me how to defend McDavid or Crosby or somebody like that, right? But obviously, I think the coaching staff has done a great job. I watched all the games they played against Miami last year, and he did score a phenomenal goal in that Cup final, but that was not because of a defensive breakdown. That was just because of greatness, best in the world of all time type of stuff, obviously. But I think the key is just to stack the midfield, try to have 2 or 3 guys around him at all times. And I'm not sure if he's going to play, but I mean, I hope so for the fans, but not for the success of our team, obviously.
Hey, did you get Kittle to come to a game yet? I know it's his off season there. It's your boy.
Yeah, we not this year. We went. I want to say maybe 2 seasons ago. We had him and his wife out there to one of the games, and he had a great time. So hopefully we can get that going again here soon.
I love it. Filip Forsberg has been our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Congrats on another 30-goal season. Best of luck the rest of the way, and we really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Absolutely. There's Filip Forsberg with us here this morning on the show. Great guy.
You know what?
He's
I love
awesome.
what he said right there at the end, speaking about Messi. I know he scored a great goal, but that's just greatness. Sometimes
right?
You can't even answer why those types of dudes are good other than, it's just great.
Exactly.
I was curious, I was like, you're a minority owner. Like, you hitting up like, hey, Hani. I would look at it this. No.
He's like, I'll let them do that.
Yeah, no, I got enough issues with him.
I love it.
He is so connected, though, with sports. Kittle, with NFL, all the SC guys. I love those type of athletes that really know what's going on everywhere.
Absolutely.
Coming up next, ESPN's Matt Miller will join us talking NFL draft, the takeaways he had from the NFL Combine. There is one Titans wide receiver target who he says yesterday on Twitter is one of his 5 favorite players in this entire draft class. We'll ask him why coming up next. Wednesday morning, middle of your week. Thanks for rocking along with us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, brewed by 8th and Roast with our NFL veteran, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Talking some NFL draft and NFL combine right now. He is Matt Miller of ESPN at NFL Draft Scout, where you find him on Twitter. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Doing well, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you making the time. I know it is a very busy time of the year. And look, I mean, in the NFL, it's always busy. Absolutely. But Matt, we'll start with the broad perspective of this class as a whole. After watching them in Indianapolis last week, what makes this class unique and different from previous ones?
Yeah, I think the talent at the top is probably the short answer on that. You know, to look at the players who are going to be top 10 picks or even top 15 picks, there's elite talent this year. You know, most drafts we look at it and you're like, gosh, there's, one or two guys at the top that are really good. And then there's a drop off. And then, you got a couple more players. This year, even, like when I sit down to do a top 10, I'm like, no, wait, that guy needs to be in the top 10. It's like, oh, well, no, but I don't want to move that player out. Like, how do you like cut it to 10 this year is the hard part. So it is a really, really talented draft at the top. And the cool thing is, it's really talented at those positions that you build your team with. It's quarterback, wide receiver, tackle, defensive end, corner. Like those are, 5 most important positions of football. They're where the money goes. They're where you want to spend your early draft picks. And this year is absolutely loaded at those spots.
ESPN's Matt Miller, our guest this morning on RKW. So, Matt, you tweeted yesterday that Rome Odunze is one of your 5 favorite players in this class. And he is a guy that a lot of Titans fans like quite a bit. How do you compare him as a fit here for Brian Callahan in year 1 to the tackle options that may be available to the Titans at 7, specifically Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu?
Yeah, I think so. It's tough, right? Pre-free agency. I love all those guys you just mentioned. So I'll start by saying this. Odunze is my number 3 overall player behind Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. So I absolutely love him. I think he is can't miss as a player. As a person, like you're getting someone who is everything you want on and off the field, like super clean as a prospect. So you look at that and you're like, okay, this guy's can't miss as a wide receiver. Like worst case scenario, he's going to be really good. Best case scenario, he's going to be great. So I look at it that way. But when you're looking at the tackles, that is tough because Joe Alt from Notre Dame is an incredibly clean prospect in his own right, and very similar to Odunze in that way. Everything you could want at a tackle. His dad was a Chiefs Hall of Famer who made 2 Pro Bowls in his career. Guy started 33 games at Notre Dame. My favorite Joe Alt stat, 33-game starter. He allowed 6 sacks, only 2 in the last 2 years. And in the last 2 years, he's only been penalized 2 times. So, I mean, that's plug and play all day. And maybe he doesn't have elite athleticism, but he has really, really good athleticism. Like we're nitpicking if we're looking at the athleticism and saying, then maybe that's not good enough. So for the Titans, the cool thing is some of this decision is going to get made for you with the number 7 overall pick because there's a strong, I would say, very strong likelihood that at least one of these guys are off the board. But that means, because of the quarterbacks going early, because Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to go early, I think at 7, you're sitting here saying, all right, we're going to get one. Like Neighbors or Alt or Odunze or Alt, that combination is going to be there. And so I think that's where you're in such a great spot this year because of the quarterbacks are going to go early. There might be 4 quarterbacks off the board by pick 7. So you're not in this pressure situation of, gosh, we better trade up to get one of these 2 blue chip players. I think you can actually just chill and wait and see how the board falls, and you're going to get one of them.
Matt Miller of ESPN has joined us this morning to talk some pre-draft stuff with the Titans. Matt, I have to ask you, as far as the Titans are concerned, they need a lot of positions filled. And if you know what they need in first round, well, second round guys is a guy I think we need to talk about as far as Kool-Aid McKinstry. Has an injury or found out about an injury at the combine. Is he a guy that you say, yeah, screw the injury, he's still a high-value player that can potentially help you in the second round?
So I wouldn't say that yet. I mean, so even before the combine, I kind of thought his range was on that fringe of the first round, potentially second round. Coming out, finding out he has the Jones fracture, which I'm not a doctor, I'm going to pretend to be, but I talked to one last week. And that's basically a fracture on the outside of your foot. And so for a defensive back, that terrifies me because it's a stress fracture basically. And I think the possibility of a re-injury, especially early in his career, are pretty strong just because of how much you're asked to plant and go on the outside of that foot. So that does worry me a little bit. There's going to have to be a lot more clarity from team doctors to figure out, okay, how do you feel about this? It's tough when you find out about an injury on, I think it was Thursday last week, and you're trying to real time, okay, what does this do to his draft stock? The immediate feedback I got was this is going to hurt his draft stock. We might be talking about a guy that was, in that 25 to 30 range. We could be looking at now his range is, 60 to 70 because it's just, there's so many unknowns. And every year, unfortunately, there's a couple players that fall in the draft and we're scrambling to be like, why is this guy falling? Why is this guy falling? Usually you find out it's the team doctors just said thumbs down instead of thumbs up on the medicals. And I would say right now of the players that I'm aware of, he's on that short list of guys where we could be talking about it Friday on the draft of like, why the heck is he still on the board? Like, you see the Mel Kiper's best available on the bottom of the TV. His name might be up there for a little bit because of this injury.
The other side of the draft is there's a lot of moves to be made and free agency's got to happen too. The Titans currently don't have a third-round pick, and I'm of the mindset myself personally. I'm not the GM, but I'd love to have a third-round pick because there's quality in that top 100, top 90, right? If they go back to 11 or 13 and you're presented with J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims, and Quinyon Mitchell, who's your best available at that spot?
Yeah, best available for me would be Quinyon Mitchell. Now that eliminates, need, and that's a big part of the draft, obviously. But he's my number 15 overall player. No one has helped themselves more in the last 6 weeks than Quinyon Mitchell. To go from, the Senior Bowl where he came in, you loved the talent, but you had question marks because he was coming out of a non-Power 5 school. Dude absolutely rocked the Senior Bowl. And then you say, okay, well, how fast is he? He looked pretty fast out there. Let's find out how fast he is. Well, he ran a 4.33 in the 40-yard dash, and then turn around and benched 20 reps of 225 pounds. And to do that at 6 foot, 195, to have that combination of speed, power, and then how he is as a technician, we might be talking about the first corner off the board. And I'm a big Terrion Arnold fan from Alabama, huge fan of his. But Mitchell has put himself in the mix as that first corner to come off the board.
Matt Miller of ESPN joining us this morning on RKW. Another situation with the Titans being at 7, and you mentioned quarterbacks, and there could be a good chunk of them going off the board. J.J. McCarthy's stock rising a bit. Could you see maybe an offer from Vegas or Minnesota where, the Titans could get some more picks because, again, they don't have that third round? How realistic is that?
Yeah, I think it's very realistic. I mean, your dream scenario as a Titans fan, if you want to trade back, is that quarterbacks go 1 and 2, and then New England doesn't take 1 at 3. You want as many quarterbacks on the board as possible. So I think, where you're at 7 is someone trying to jump the Atlanta Falcons. So if the Falcons don't get Kirk Cousins in free agency, if they don't trade for Justin Fields, then you're looking at a situation of, okay, this is how we do it. We tell everybody who will listen, whether it's the Vikings, the Broncos, the Raiders, hey, this is the spot to get ahead of the Atlanta Falcons to get this quarterback. And you can play it that way, and you might even look at a situation where you switch places with Atlanta. You just do the old swap, like San Francisco and Chicago did in 2017. And you can sometimes get a third-round pick just for doing that swap. So I think that is a really smart strategy. Rand Carthon is incredibly well connected throughout the NFL thanks to his time in San Francisco and how many people from that team are now running personnel departments in the NFL. So, if we're in a spot where, let's say somehow the third quarterback goes off the board at 6 to the New York Giants, that is great news for the Tennessee Titans because you're now selling that you got to get ahead of Atlanta, you got to get ahead of Minnesota at 11. This might be a really favorable spot for teams to go get that fourth quarterback.
So, Matt, it looks like Derrick Henry has played his last game in two-tone blue here in Tennessee. You have Tajay Spears, who has been incredible. Obviously, a guy who can, be a great pass catcher, has done some really good things. But at the same time, you do need another back. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears duo. Do you go in the draft if you're the Titans this year, get one of these backs because there's a plethora of them? Or do you sign one of the 15 free agent running backs that are around?
I would look and see what the market ends up being for the free agent running backs because I think that's intriguing. We're not talking about Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs, even though, the Titans have a ton of money to spend. But I would be more intrigued. I know we just talked about this. They don't have a third-round pick. That fourth-round pick is where I think you can actually get really good running back value. You know, a player like Marshawn Lloyd from USC would pair really, really nicely with Spears. So, like, I think that's kind of the idea of, you know, you want to go back to almost that Lightning Thunder matchup, but with Spears being the featured guy. But pairing him with someone like Audric Estime from Notre Dame, Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, if he happens to be there in the fourth round. I mentioned Lloyd. I think he would be a good fit. Even Ray Davis from Kentucky, maybe with that fifth-round pick coming from Minnesota, is someone that would be, I think, a good fit with what you already have. And I know the Titans, you know, front office folks have said this, that Spears has earned a shot to be the guy. How he looked last year, you spent a third-round pick on him, which is now like kind of high value for a running back with the way the NFL is. So I would be inclined to find out what you have there and pair him with, like you said, it might be a wave 2 free agent running back, or it might be one of these guys in the fourth round.
ESPN's Matt Miller, our guest on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Matt, Jalen Wright, the Tennessee running back, certainly helped himself at the NFL Combine. How much has his stock grown over these past few weeks?
Yeah, a lot. I think a big part of it is because he so perfectly fits what the NFL wants now. You know, with that outside zone ability, the speed that he brings to the table. He ran a 4.38 at 210 pounds. That's going to turn heads. He's explosive, and it shows up on tape. It shows up in testing. You know, the only issue is when we get back to tape, it's going to be, you know, fumbles. He had 4 of them. That's something that you got to get to the bottom of and could push him down a little bit for some teams. I also think, you know, the fact that he's not a great inside runner will probably come up for some people, but the outside speed is certainly intriguing. You know, everybody wants that guy that can turn the corner and create chunk plays. That's what he does. You know, he's got a great juke to make people miss. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. So he's moved himself up. I feel like every time I go through and do a rankings update, I'm like, well, I got to move him up. And, you know, I think right now he's my number 3 running back. It's Jonathan Brooks in Texas, Trey Benson, and Jalen Wright. So he was not there a month ago. I know that. But the more tape I've been able to study, was really hoping to get to see him at the Senior Bowl. I think that would have been big for his draft stock. But, you know, he had a great recovery at the Combine and has shot himself way up there.
Matt, a lot of the discussion at the tackle position in Nashville has been about Joe Alt, who we've discussed, Olu Fashanu at Penn State. And then it seems to be, from a lot of people, a bit of a drop-off from those top 2 to a third guy. Is that the case for you? And who is that third tackle in the mix with those two?
Yeah, so for me, there's not as much of a drop-off. I would say that you have to put Talisa Fuaga from Oregon State right there with those guys. What makes him different, though, is he's a right tackle. You know, that's all he's done in college is play right tackle. 2-year starter. He's powerful. I don't see the movement ability. I know the first thing people always ask when I say guys are right tackle, they say, well, can you move him? I don't think you can. That's just not who he is. I mean, he's good at the second level, but I don't see, number one, the arm length. You know, he came in with just 33-inch arms, and I don't see the mobility and space for him to be a left tackle. I think he's a Pro Bowl right tackle. The drop-off from him to the next group is a little more significant. That's where you have Tyler Guyton, Troy Fatanu from Washington, J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims. I mean, it's such a good tackle class, but there is a little bit of a drop-off between those tiers. I think Joe Alt's by himself. Fashanu and Fuaga are there together, and then you got to drop off to those next guys. But when we legitimately might see 8 offensive linemen go in the first round, it's that good of a class.
Matt, I sat here and just
I wish you could see his expression.
As an offensive lineman myself, you confirmed everything that I've said. As somebody who is trusted to evaluate OL about Tali Fuaga, I like him. But I like him as a right tackle more than a left for this team here who's seeking a left tackle. Thank you, Matt, is all I want to say right now, okay?
That's what I'm here for.
But I do have to ask you this. As somebody who's evaluated, I'm sure, vetted guys and watched this one guy in particular, he's coming up on year 3, and that's Traylon Burks. What do you make of his college tape that you evaluated, and what do you make of his career so far as in the professional world? Year 3 is when you know what you have. How do you view him so far?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I was not the biggest fan of his coming out of Arkansas, and that was an opinion I shared pretty broadly. You know, I didn't see it. You know, I didn't see the ability to separate. And you talk about like, oh man, the contested catches. You know, he's so good at all these. Yeah, but even in the NFL, you got to separate. And if you can't separate in college, even like, oh, it's SEC. Okay, but if you can't separate in college, you're never going to separate in the NFL because, as you know, like everything is 2 seconds faster in the NFL than it is in college. No matter where you played college, I don't care if it was at Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State or Texas, everything's faster in the NFL. So when I see a college receiver struggle with that, it scares me. And I think for him, you wanted to see that jump in terms of production, especially. It just wasn't there. And so that's the scary part. When a guy actually regresses in terms of progression or regresses in terms of just impact, that's what's scary for me. So, new coaching staff, maybe they can light a fire under him. Maybe he, can build some rapport with Will Levis that wasn't there with Ryan Tannehill, can build some of that trust. I would love to see him used, more on, drag routes, let's try to get him involved, almost scheme some touches for him that are going to be a little bit easier, things that he can win on. But there's a reason we're talking about wide receiver at number 7 overall, or there's a reason we're talking about wide receiver in the second round, and that's because he hasn't lived up to those expectations. And similarly, it's the same reason we're talking about Rand Carthon headed into his second NFL draft because, Treylon Burks was expected to replace A.J. Brown, and he has, in 2 years, he hasn't come close to like half the production of a normal A.J. Brown season in 2 years. So he's not getting it done, unfortunately.
Matt, one more from me in terms of free agency, and a great article always by you on ESPN.com. When it comes to free agents and the Titans have money now, they got to be particular in what they're doing with that money. But who stands out to you as a fit possibly here when they're looking at the cornerback position, the wide receiver position, heck, even linebacker?
Yeah, the thing about free agency is I think it is such a deep class where it's easy to get excited at those positions. At corner, if L'Jarius Sneed, if they move the tag off of L'Jarius Sneed, I think that one becomes interesting just from a scheme fit of how well he would fit. But it's like if you're going big game hunting, like Christian Wilkins is out there.
Yeah.
Danielle Hunter is out there. Tyron Smith at left tackle. Okay, maybe it's for a year or two. And I do think he's probably going to chase a ring. We'll probably see him in Kansas City Red very, very soon would be my guess. But I do think that you can, if you want to go that route, you can. And you mentioned wide receiver. Calvin Ridley, did not get tagged, and they have a decision to make on him in Jacksonville. He's a number one receiver that's just floating out there, ready to go. Mike Unwinu from New England, he can play any spot along the offensive line. He I think, could be an all-pro level guard. So if you want to spend some money, and they have plenty of it to go, I think Calvin Ridley and Mike Unwinu are the two guys that I'm probably circling. And they're not I get it, they're not the biggest names. That it's not Chris Jones, it's not Christian Wilkins, but I think that's, if you're going to spend it for agency, I'm targeting guys who are, looking at their age especially. I know Calvin Ridley's 29, but we got to take a year off from where he didn't play. I'm targeting guys, 26, 25. Bryce Huff would be another one. He's 26 years old, super productive when given opportunities. Xavier McKinney, 25 years old. He's going to get paid at the safety position. So I think there are smart ways to do this. I would almost say, do you want to spend on defense and draft on offense, or vice versa? Or is this more of a philosophy of let's spread it around and maybe get, one impact guy on offense, one impact guy on defense? I think Carthon coming from San Francisco, I would think that it's more spin defense, draft offense. That was the idea there outside of, the trades for Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. But it'll be fun to see how you spend $80 million. I'm very curious to see how they go about that.
He is at NFL Draft Scout on Twitter, ESPN NFL Draft Analyst and Insider Matt Miller, kind enough to give us a couple of minutes in a very busy time of year. Matt, really good stuff. Let's do it again sometime. Thank you.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. There's Matt Miller with us here this morning on the show as we talk a little bit of NFL draft. There is one thing he said that I think should give Titans fans more hope and joy, specifically, than anything else he said. We'll talk about it next. Wrapping up the show on a Wednesday morning edition of RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. The Buck Rising Show is next. You can tune in and hear the dumbest thing in sports this week. And you should all call in and tell Buck that it's him going to a Preds game and then their win streak immediately ending.
Amen.
That is the dumbest thing in sports this week.
He should apologize.
I don't know. Dan Wolken did say some stupid things on Twitter yesterday, but he gets paid to say stupid things on websites, so I don't know why I'm surprised.
Yeah.
True.
It's all good.
I thought about taking a whole segment to rant on that, but he's not worth my time.
Nah.
If I was going to do the dumbest thing in sports, I would change it a little bit and do my favorite thing in sports that happened this week. Did you guys see this tweet about partial arts?
No.
It is martial arts for handy-capable people. And so the clip was these two gentlemen with no arms, only legs fighting, and they were just kicking each other.
Dang.
Partial arts is so badass. I would love to go to see live partial arts.
Do they need to get a pro league going?
I think that's what it is.
It is technically a pro league? Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
I saw that tweet yesterday.
What else would they fight with if they didn't?
I mean, I'd assume you could fight with just arms and no legs, or if you had like a mixed match, like one leg, one arm.
How about just your head?
That would be cool with me, too. You probably have to put helmets on them.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people need to be walking around with helmets these days. These stupid sports.
Anyway.
Bert, I don't even want to know
ESPN's Matt Miller with us in the previous segment. If you missed that conversation, you can download it wherever you download podcasts. Coming up in the next 10 minutes. I thought the thing that stood out to me the most, guys, was what he said about Rand Carthon's connections around the league. And he brought up a point that I had not considered. Said Rand Carthon is incredibly well connected based on his time in San Francisco. There are a lot of people who are now running teams who overlapped with him in San Francisco. It is a good point that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the now general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, if they wanted to make a deal for the number 7 overall pick at number 11, Rand Carthon and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah worked in the same front office in San Francisco together. That would make a ton of sense for Kwesi to call up his buddy. And a guy who Rand mentioned in his introductory press conference saying, I called Kwesi and I talked to other GMs around the league about how to do this and how to run a team.
I met him this past week.
Something to watch.
Yeah, I met him
at the
this
combine.
Past week at the combine. Ram was around and running into him and stuff like that. But that does make a point, Will. But you all are talking about connections and collaborations and stuff. People still trying to figure out philosophies and everything. Like, we're trying to actually run a business and win and build a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the differences right there. That stuff does pay dividends with those connections. It's the same way coaches we see get hired at other places. It's a connected community when it comes down to the ones that, you know, are thriving in those type of days. So, or that type of business. So, he was a really cool dude, too, out of Minnesota. They had a big production crew out there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where Tatum Everett works. They do a good job
big
up
old
there.
Production crew.
Can you guys imagine they call to move up to 7 and it's a bad deal and Rand says, man, you Kwesi.
Oh, my God.
You cannot say things like this and then boot me off the air for making bad dad jokes.
Oh, my God.
You can't have it both ways.
Inky
Robert
Johnson. I'm Stinky Johnson. This is Inky Johnson. Somebody wrap up the show.
Get him out of here.
Wow.
Coming up next.
Here's Inky Johnson.
Get him some food.
If you are not motivated on your day anymore because of that comment, here's Inky to get you remotivated.
I read something every single day I'm home, man. I read this piece by Robert Ward. And it says, he said, I wish you the courage to be warm when the world would prefer you be cool. I wish you success sufficient to your needs. I wish you failure to temper that success. I wish you joy in all your days. I wish you sadness so that you may better measure